Welcome, friends.
Hello, welcome. We're unmuted, right? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Let us know in the chat if you can hear us.
I bet they can.
And we've got, so far, we've got sound great. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yes, we've got, let's go to the beginning here. My thing keeps popping. All right. So we've got Jane Spitfire, we have John Marciano, and we have Seth and Felicia Dakota, and Sten, Dallas. We saw Mary Flowers, Matthew, Mile Gray, and okay, the ExJW cultures. Yes, they're with us. So
how do I get in the way?
Okay, fixing my faith. Oh, that's the fixing my faith one. You want to go to Joe and Fran, or you want to stay on fixing my faith?
There,
but
right
fixing
there.
my faith doesn't have the
It
live chat,
just
right?
came up.
Okay, yeah, you want to go. Okay,
You
we're
know,
just getting.
It popped up, but then it left.
Okay, so just get out of that and go to your YouTube.
Technical, excuse us.
If anyone, just go to your YouTube. You can either watch us from Fixing My Faith or Joe and Fran. So you got to get out of Fixing My Faith if you want to see the live chat. Okay, there you go, Joe and Fran, and there we are, right there. Okay, did it. Elaine Brain Train, welcome.
Jane, Elaine, Dallas, hello Dallas. ExJW cultures, not for JWs. Church we like, non-denominational Christian church, yes. Elaine, Dallas, Jane, Sky. Hello, Sky.
Hi, Sky. Thank you for joining us.
Beverly.
Hi, Beverly.
Welcome all. We the usual updates on birthdays and anniversaries, but also some not so happy information.
Yeah. You want to do the birthdays first?
We'll do the birthdays first. Yeah.
Okay. So we're in a new month. We're in the month of October. So we've got some new birthdays starting October 1st. Today, Severia Garcia McCree and Keith Casarona.
And October 3rd, Yvette. And can you see
October 5th, Karina Lynn. October 7th.
October 7th, Paul Garino. That's our son, youngest son.
October 8th, Kim Allen and Casey. That's Debbie's granddaughter.
October 11th, Mary Hauk.
October 14th, Faded in San Diego and Eva Arnold.
October 15th, Don Bahrain.
It's supposed to be Bahayden. I'll have to correct that. It's Don Bahayden.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, Don
Bahayden.
Don Bahayden. Okay.
Yeah. October 17th, Eric Kubler.
The 18th, Yvonne's grandson. I'm breaking up.
Okay. October 20th, Jackie Ramos. You need something?
No.
October 21st is Gabby. That's Dinah Lost daughter. That's her older one, Gabby. October 22nd, Adrian Mully and Mona Gill. And October 23rd, our daughter Hetty.
October 24th, Vern. And also Nicole M.
Malecki, our niece.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put the full
Didn't
name.
realize that.
I know. October 25th, Cheryl Murphy.
October 29th, Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Matthews, Sky Graham. And
Yeah.
Sky Graham.
And October 31st, Felicia Coulter.
Happy birthday, all.
October
Happy birthday.
babies.
Yeah.
And we've got the birthday song.
It's in the head.
It's in the head. And we do have some October anniversaries this month. Tomorrow, October 2nd.
Is that ours?
That's ours.
It's ours. It finally came.
How many years?
49.
1976. And we have a picture we can show after. October 9th, Albin and Irene celebrating 32 years.
Wow. And October 10th. Wes and Dinah Lost.
Mm-hmm. And October 25th, our son and daughter-in-law, Mark and Lara. 22 years.
Wow.
So those are the anniversaries. And we'll have an anniversary song. Thank you, Shauna. And here's a picture of Joe and I 49 years ago. Try to get that. There we go. So that's Joe's family, mom and dad, and he has 3 sisters. And of course, that's us.
That was 1976.
And it was a beautiful day. It was October 2nd. The flowers were out. We were in a park.
Yeah, warm day.
It was a warm day. It was a beautiful day. Just like it is, like it's been. We've been having some beautiful weather.
The weather's been so beautiful for some reason. We're not used to it.
Yeah, it's been in the 70s.
Yeah.
And you said it's supposed to go to the 80s?
That's 80. That's what I heard.
Well, you want to clean those?
Oh, yeah. Guess so.
Get one of these.
So, upcoming events.
Oh, yes. We've got some meetups. October 3rd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Oktoberfest in New York City.
Oh, boy. We knew about Oktoberfest.
Yes. And you can click on that link to find more information if anybody's going to be in the New York City area. October 11th, there's going to be a meetup in Charlotte, North Carolina. We know a lot of you live in North Carolina. That would be a nice one for you to meet up there, starting at 5 o'clock. And then October 18th, from 12 to 3 o'clock, there's going to be an ExJW meetup in Port Orange, Florida. And that's going to be where? I know it's probably going to be at a coffee house. Yep, Foxtail Coffee. That's going to be in Port Orange, Florida. And our friend Morgan, this will be his 3rd meetup he has initiated. So the details are on our website, ExJWFriends. Also October 25th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's going to be a Halloween Harvest Festival in New York City. That sounds like fun. So if you're in those areas, it's not on the, let's see, where is it going to be? New York's second largest dog costume contest. Okay. Guess if you want to bring your dog and dress them up, there's where the information is. The Liberati's putting it on. So if you have any questions, just go to ExJW Friends, and go to the events. Also, it's not listed on there, but we're going to have a small little meetup at our house this Sunday. We invited a few of the local friends, and we are working on a meetup for Sunday, the last Sunday in October, I believe it's the 26th. We're going to be down in the Corning area that's close to Rochester. So a lot of the Rochester friends, if you want to come out and meet us, we'll be having a meetup that Sunday. We do not have a place yet, but we will be announcing it as soon as we do.
Okay. Will it be Corning Glass?
Well, not at the glass place.
No,
We're going to do that
place,
separate. No. We're going to have a meetup separate of Corning.
Right.
And if anybody wants to join us at the Corning Glass,
yeah,
we'll be
in
there
other words,
on
we'll
Saturday.
be able to tie the two together.
Yeah, Saturday for the Corning Glass, and Sunday we're working on a meetup.
Saturday, Sunday.
It probably might be like Horseheads or somewhere in that vicinity where we haven't found a place yet.
Is that the real name of the place?
Horseheads.
Horseheads. Yeah, that's the name of the place. Horseheads.
Yep.
Historic.
Yeah, there's a story. Yeah, there's a story behind it. But anyway.
They just showed theirs.
Okay, so here's our meetup that Doreen and so we've got in the front here, we've got JP, or also Shack Composer, and Doreen, and I don't know the other. I know that Geron was the one who hosted it, and he's in the picture. The one on the left there, that's Stefan. So they had about 15 people. It was a 2-day. Here's some more. They had a 2-day meetup. They did dinner. They went bowling. They had a great time. And yeah, they really did. And one thing that JP mentioned, I think there were 4 or 5 women there, and they all kind of stuck together. They kind of watched each other, and, they weren't hovering over each other, but they just kind of kept track of each other because, you're in a big city and a lot of things can happen in Las Vegas. So everything went well. There was no problems, and they had a really good time. They're looking forward to another meetup somewhere. They're planning one, maybe a cruise. So we'll keep you posted. But we love meetups. They're so encouraging, and you don't have to have a lot of people for a meetup. You could just meet up with someone and have coffee, or go to a park, or a little picnic or something.
Make whatever theme you want.
Yeah. So, let's see. Oh, Del Real Love is in the, yes. She said, all the men were gentlemen, very kind and sweet. That's Doreen. Thank you, Doreen. That's very, very nice. Nadine, hi Nadine, and CJ. I only have 2 ExJW friends besides those on YouTube. Well, CJ, if you want to tell us where you are, maybe we know someone near you. I'm your daddy. That's Fremont Street. Okay. I'm your daddy. Is your house watchtower free? Have you burned all your books, or do you still have them? Okay. Thank you, Nadine. Nadine wished us happy anniversary. Welcome, Ruby, Hadassah. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Hadassah. Susan Gillen. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Susan. Jerry, I forgot to tell them of the meetup here in Los Angeles. Del Real Love, if you want to come on at some point and tell us about the meetup, just go to the top of the chat where the StreamYard link is and click on there, and you can come on and inform us of any meetups if you want to. Let's see. I think, Jay says, I will have my 28th anniversary in November. We'll make sure you let us know the date. I think we have it, but just to make sure. Sherlock 13. Whoops, I wasn't done. Congrats on 49-year anniversary. Thank you, Sherlock. Wild Wall. Thank you, Wild Wall. Oh, we have a lot on so far. Thank you for all joining us. We look forward to a nice program tonight.
Yeah, it'll be informative, helpful, and help us think a bit.
Yes, maybe a little challenging.
No, maybe.
But,
yeah.
Hi, Jeannie. Jeannie Jewell is here. Thank you for joining us. We know we have some that are not in the chat. They're PIMO, Mr. CIA. We want to give a shout out to you. He keeps us informed of what's going on in the organization and all their, whatever they do. So.
Well, and we're grateful too that there are ones listening.
Yes.
We were told that by one of the elder COs and the elders that they monitor the channels, which is good. I'm glad they do, because the important thing is that everyone realizes that we really are here as friends. Everyone. And the organization really shouldn't interfere with us being friends. And we want the folks to realize that we have every intention of remaining friends with people, even if they chose to shun. Even if they chose to shun us previously, that's not going to stop or prevent us from being friends with them. We need to go forward. We need to go forward. And I guess we would even call that ascension. We want to ascend out of that low frequency kind of circumstance that everybody slipped into because of the organization's policy. We recognize that things change, people change, and we need to help each other all go forward. That's all we want, for everybody to go forward.
Let's see, Thomas just said that for some reason I can't make a comment. So you're probably on Fixing My Faith. There's 2 different channels, and the one for the live chat is under Joe and Fran.
Yeah.
So if you just switch over to Joe and Fran, you'll be able to get in the live chat, and also you'll be able to come on the program if you'd like to.
Yeah.
All right.
Joe and Fran, live chat, and then you'll be on.
Okay. And also we have some other announcements. San Diego, Faded in San Diego. He is not able to come on, but he is listening to us. His uncle just passed away. He was not a Jehovah's Witness, so he's keeping an eye on, just to see how they handle everything, because part of his family are Jehovah's Witnesses and part of them are not. And it makes it a little bit challenging.
Oh, it does.
Especially when there's funerals and, calling hours, weddings, anything like that. Because if you have some that are witnesses, some that are not, they may not even be disfellowship. Maybe they're just not witnesses, and so it gets kind of
No, it's time to be very
interesting,
open, and ready to make peace in ways that we never thought we had to.
Yeah. We have a couple other announcements. Celeste, that we always mention, is having surgery on October 8th. So if you could keep her in your thoughts, send positive vibes, whatever you do, if you pray, whatever works. She just wanted to mention it because it is very challenging for Celeste too. So if you can keep her in your thoughts, that'll be October 8th.
And it's a simple point, but it's nice to be thought of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As opposed to not being thought of.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something to consider. Just knowing that we're thought of.
Yeah.
Even if a person can't do much about the situation, just to know, well, they're thinking of me. It means something.
That's right.
It's powerful.
It is. It really is. And another announcement. One of our ExJW friends has a niece that was serving in Myanmar. If anyone doesn't know where Myanmar is, it's
used to be Burma.
Burma. Used to be. And she was with 3 Burmese Myanmar sisters on Sunday, and they were at a waterfall swimming place, and 4 of them unfortunately drowned. She was the only American there that drowned. She's been there for 10 years. She's only 28 years old. We're not going to mention names just for privacy, but it was very sad, very, very sad. And this XJW, she keeps us posted as to how they're going to go about, with the whole memorial and everything. But even though she is a witness, our hearts go out to her, her family. We, we don't have anything against Jehovah's Witnesses. We tell people when we give them our cards, we love them. We feel bad for them. We want them to come out. We welcome them. So we just want to keep that in mind too.
And that gives us pause too, because those friends went there to have a good time.
Yes.
They had the only thing on their minds was enjoying life at that point. But unfortunately, this can happen to anybody. Call it fate or tragedy. It could strike anyone, anytime. So it's really good to think, seriously, am I living my trueness, my life, mine? The only, what's true to myself, is that what I'm living now? Because we may not have tomorrow.
I know. Look, she's only 28, and just young, vibrant. But they were swimming at a waterfall, and a current pulled them all in. That's just got to be devastating. I can't imagine the parents and
horrible.
Yeah. So anyway, we wanted to mention that, and not to leave it on a sad note, we have a little video of Morgan celebrating his first birthday. So when you're ready, Shauna, if you could put that up. This is Morgan's first.
Morgan's 28 today, right? What? You're 28, right? 28. Okay, I'm sure. Oh, Texas, Roadhouse. We got bears for the kids last night. This is my new friend Morgan celebrating his 28th birthday. Let's give a round of applause. Oh, no, Tom, you gotta stop what you're doing. Folks, you're gonna give a loud, proud Texas side. Yeah! 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
So that's Morgan. He turned, what did they say, 28? 28, but he's first time celebrating. And he just left the organization in March, and he's doing so well. Yeah. He's, like I said, he's already hosted 2 meetups, and this is his 3rd one in Port Orange coming up. So if you're in the Florida, Port Orange area, stop in, and Morgan would be glad to meet you. and any other XJWs that show up there. Sometimes there's ex-Mormons,
Yeah.
Christian, ex-Pentecostal.
Yeah.
So you never know. It's not just limited to
No.
ex-Jehovah's
Oh,
Witnesses.
no.
So I think that was it for the
Great.
announcements.
Good notes. Good keeping track of people the best
Thank
we
you.
can. And if there are any announcements or friends, birthdays, or dates, whatever anniversary that we missed, let us know. Please let us know. Or any corrections. Or mispronunciations. Anything, let us know.
So.
And again, welcome to everybody in the chat. And
yes.
Again,
hi, Gigi.
Hello. And what I'm going to say about the chat is enjoy each other in the chat. Respect each other in the chat. Be careful in the chat. Because, see, we can't see each other's faces in the chat. And frankly, that's so important to be able to see each other when we communicate. It's a little more challenging when we can't, so we have to be more careful. And the chat is a place to be friendly. Friendly.
There, I see Penny B Flower in the chat. Hi, Penny. Thrifty Treasure, welcome. So tonight's theme.
Yeah.
Leaders lie, should we?
Where'd that come from?
You.
Well, look, I'm not the only one that's been around for any length of time. And I think we've found that people promise things, and for some reason, they don't come about. In fact, maybe the opposite comes about. And we find out, oh, they really meant something else. Whatever. It boils down to that, and this is a fact of life. In fact, a really reliable statement in the Bible. It's not a very hopeful statement in the Bible, but it's very truthful. It said, though all men be a liar. Wow. All men be a liar. Wow. We're being called liars. Every one of us. Well, the reality is we all do. Now, there's reasons. There's reasons why. There's some good reasons. Yeah. There's some really bad reasons to lie. And that kind of separates people, their motives and their reasons and their practices. And this isn't the judgment zone at all now. It's not what it is. This is just an opportunity to think about what we listen to and what we project as well, and then how to go forward, considering that all men be a liar, as well as ourselves. See, lies aren't just spoken, sometimes they're lived. In other words, what we're doing may say one thing, but it really may not be what we believe and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing one thing, believing, feeling, valuing quite another. You would consider that dishonest. It's a lie. Well, I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that that's not living truthfully. A fact of life is if you study men in power and nations that seek power, or even think about games, playing a game, because game theory applies to people, countries, governments seeking power. It's a game. And they say the only way you're going to win a game, especially if you're not more powerful or smarter, you're going to win it by lying, cheating. You're going to cheat. That's how you win. That's how you gain power. You lie. You deceive. You put forth an idea that isn't real, that isn't true. So you get the other side to um, to be confused on what you're doing, and you end up fooling them. That's how governments roll. If you think about it, let's say there's countries, one country next to another country, or near, whatever. And let's say maybe they're worried about one of them overtaking or stealing or attacking or something. Are the countries going to put forth truthful information about their abilities? Oh, are they going to tell the other country, well, we have this much power, we have this many armaments, our infrastructure, our power system is organized and designed this way. So if you want to destroy it, we're going to tell you how. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to put forth dishonest information, saying, "Well, we have 10 of these things. We don't have 1,000, or they really have 1,000, but they're going to say, well, we have 10 of these things." Well, they're lying. Well, they need to, because if they told the truth, it would give the other side a terrible, terrible advantage. It's like telling someone the combination to your combination lock on your locker. Well, you're not going to do that. In fact, you may even lie to them, and maybe if you're really concerned, and to throw them off because you really don't want them to to steal from you, to attack you, to get into your life and into your private area. You're not gonna be truthful. And there's good reasons for that. Governments lie. Oh, but do they lie to me? They lie to each other, it's true. And then the spies are the ones that have to figure out, what the real truth is about the situation. And they have sneaky ways of doing it with each other. But what about the government now in their communication to us on the radio, television, internet? Are we getting the truth? Well, why would they? You just think about this. Why would they tell citizens the truth? They tell us the truth about critical things. Well, do you think the enemy's not listening? Enemy's listening. Of course they're listening. So we're not even going to get the truth. They would be foolish if they told us the truth. So when we listen to their information, understand that we're not being told the truth. And there's the idea that national security. It has to do with national security. Well, if they told us the truth, it would help the enemy. We're not the enemy, but yet the enemy would know and find out. So just for protection, just for protection alone, the government does not tell the truth. They don't. And unfortunately, for power, especially, they don't tell the truth. They cheat. That's how you game. Unfortunately, that's how you win a game. You cheat. I'm not suggesting cheating, But the reality is, people cheat to win. We know, we've heard things, stories like that in the government about one side claiming that the other side cheated in the elections. Oh, they both cheated. You cheated. They cheated. That's what they claim that each other did. They cheated. Oh, okay. Well, they're both telling the truth or they're both lying. I don't know. I have no idea. So if I rely on what any one of them says, there's no way I can prove left or right. And of course, yes, there are going to be others. There are going to be different parties that give evidence. Well, look, we have evidence of this. We have evidence of that. Evidence of this. Well, can you guarantee that all of them are telling the truth? I can't. Do you want to believe they're telling the truth? Yeah, maybe you want to believe they're telling the truth. I understand that. See, humans want to believe that they're being fed the truth because humans want the truth. I don't want lies. I don't want lies. So someone tells me something, I'm gonna want to hear it as truth. But in reality, I'm gonna find out they were lying. They were lying. I Early on when we started out in doing our craft business, a friend who was very successful in his business, knowing that we weren't doing really well. And when he confided with me, he said, "You know, Joe, you've got to be a bit of the Ganef." Now, this person had a certain ethnic background, and I'm not going to say which one, but apparently the word Ganef means thief. You've got to, he disclosed, you've got to be a bit of a thief to make it and to do well in business. I said, oh, okay, yeah, I see. And I mean, how many people know that when they go to a used car or car dealer, that they're going to be hearing all sorts of things, and they may not be able to believe every bit of it. Or anytime you go to buy something, or you want to buy something used from someone, and you ask the person details on it. Oh, it's in great shape. And you ask them, well, what's wrong with it? No, nothing's wrong. It's in perfect shape. Well, that may not be totally true, especially if it's used. But he wants to give a good account of it, so he's going to tell you, oh, it's in great shape, no problems. Oh, great, good. And if you happen to choose to buy it, you find out, holy smokes, it's got so many problems. He didn't tell me. He must have known. He had to know. Well, of course he knew. That's why he sold it. But see, he didn't want to disclose that because you probably wouldn't have bought it, and you didn't want to believe otherwise because you were hopeful, because you were hoping for something positive. We're that way as humans. We project ahead something positive, and it's wishful thinking. So basically, we live in a world of lies. We really do. And so we have to navigate our way around that. Well, heck, we even have to personally be careful that what we do isn't lying. Look, every time you fill out a form, all the questions on it, don't you give pause with some things as to whether or not, oh, how do I answer this one truthfully? And at the bottom, you're going to sign your name because they're going to say, to the best of my knowledge, this has been truthful. Okay. Every one of us is faced with that. Every one of us. We live in that world, that kind of a world. And if you push it to an extreme, there's those religions, the Jehovah's Witnesses Watchtower organization, that presented itself as the truth. Wow, that's what I want. Well, of course, you want the truth. I wanted the truth. And it was presented. This is the truth. Well, how did it turn out? It wasn't true. It wasn't true. It's like, holy smokes.
Gigi just asked, do they still make you swear on the Bible in court? Do they still do that?
I really don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's a good question. Maybe someone can find out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some people have even come to realize that the Bible is not truthful. And speaking of swearing, I'm sure a lot of people swear at the Bible for what that's worth. So judge for yourselves. The world that you live in, the world that we live in, is filled with liars and lies. It's just real. The Bible was clear about it. It says you're all liars. All men be a liar. Sorry, you're all liars. I'm a liar. You're a liar. Oh, so really, how do you go forward? You know, it clarifies things. You're going to be presented with lies. Oh, and then you go forward thinking everything is truthful when someone tells you the truth. It tells you something. Wow. I'm not the only one that's faced with this dilemma. I want truth, but I'm being lied to. Someone wants to be truthful, but they wonder whether or not I'm telling the truth to them. We live in that kind of a world.
Jeffrey Jackson swore on the JW phony baloney holy scriptures. LOL. Yeah.
You know, honestly, that was probably the only time he was telling the truth. Mm-hmm. It's just that we didn't like it because we realized all the other times he was lying to us. Then he was being truthful. They're not the only ones. Oh, I thought that's what you told us. I thought you told us you were the only ones.
That's what they said.
Son of a gun.
Of course, they say a lot of things, and then they turn around and say the opposite.
So it's a question of expectations. Now, in other words, do you expect everything to be truthful around you? If you do, you're being fooled. You're fooling yourself. And unfortunately, there are those that know you're looking for something. So guess what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you exactly what you're looking for because they know that's what you want to hear. So you're hearing something that's really great. Wow, that's what I'm looking for. And is it like bait on a hook? And so you go for it? Like snare? I mean, Rutherford was nice enough to tell us that religion is a snare and a racket. The man told the truth. He told the truth. Isn't that wild? I still marvel. I marvel at that. No, seriously.
I know.
I marvel. The man told the truth.
He did.
Someone let me know what you think about that. In all of our history with that organization, that man, in all his low-life activities and thieving life and drunken and everything else that he practiced, he told the truth. Religion is a snare and a racket. Both. Wow. I'm still stunned by that. And see, but no. Well, we don't want to listen. We didn't want to believe that. No. Religion is where we get closer to God. Religion is where we're going to learn the truth, and we're going to have all these gifts that we ever wanted. Seeing dead loved ones, living on paradise earth, perfect surf every day, returning to whatever else. whatever else. Make a list. You're going to have all those things. Wow. And they proceed to lie and prove that everything that they said wasn't true.
Elaine Brain Drain said Rutherford meant all other religions.
Oh, all other, excuse me. I didn't realize that.
Their religion.
Not theirs. Got it. They're fools. Well, at any rate, the goal here is not to look at each other suspect and say, oh, you're a liar. And so am I. So we better watch out for each other. No. The goal is to be careful how we listen and to be careful how we speak and project as well. Because we're handling each other. You know? We need to be friends with each other. And, you know, our honesty is the greatest gift we can possibly give each other.
Apostatute is backstage and he can't always stay on. And Matthew, of course.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be cynical here. I just wanted to recognize something that we're all faced with, every one of us. And we need to go forward navigating through those waters of untruthfulness, while at the same time, we may want to avoid the getting tainted with those lies. It's like, well, the government lies. Why shouldn't I, for God's sakes? The religion lies. Why shouldn't I, for God's sakes? Or my sake? See, why shouldn't I? If good old Jeffrey, did his trick, well, why should I be any different than that?
Right.
See, this is something that challenges, and it could easily snare a person into the type of life that they regret. Because here they were looking for the truth, and they end up becoming a liar. Not only believing lies, but telling lies to others at the door or wherever. And this is something we really have to think deeply about and carefully, because it's going on, it's continuing. It hasn't stopped. The world lies too. We could lie as well. Maybe someone else would like to come in.
Apostatute and Matthew on, and
whatever
if anyone wants to
come
on,
your thoughts, please.
If you go to the top of the chat and just click on the StreamYard, and then turn off your YouTube. So we've got Apostatute, 9 Villages, aka Apostatute.
Welcome,
and Matthew.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. We can hear you well.
Good, because that's not always the way.
Yes, it's nice and clear.
Matthew, I just got told that my dinner's on, so I'll just take a minute. And I really enjoy your commentary. I just want to let you know I'm not trying to bully anybody.
Nice to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah. So the 9 villages things. Yeah, the 9 villages things comes from an old Turkish proverb that man who tells the truth gets chased from 9 villages. So I want to be chased from 9 villages. I quite often am, because, you know, like Jack Nicholson said in the movie, you can't handle the truth is a lot of reasons why, you know, we have to tiptoe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as you brought out, Joe, if we believe a lie, then are we really responsible? Then there's always the slick use of language, so that the truth is not discernible because of the weasel words. And I mean, Sanderson told the truth when he says the governing body has decided that they changed the rules about what this, and that. So it wasn't. He didn't say the direction from our leader Christ. He said you told the truth. You know, just like Rutherford did. So great subject. I know you have a good show tonight. I just wanted to. Last time I think I called you guys on your anniversary. You were out to dinner. So without interfering on your day tomorrow, I want to wish you a very happy anniversary and congratulations.
Thank
The
you.
wife,
Thank you,
So
Pastor
much.
Dude.
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
the wife and I were married in '73, and then of course we're a couple years older than you guys, so we're right on the same track.
Yes, we
So
are.
We're on your tail. We're right on your tail.
Say hi to
we'll stay
Mrs.
with it.
Dude.
Yeah.
I know.
Enjoy
I
it.
will be happy to do that. I will happy to do that. So anyway, have a great show, and everybody be blessed. We'll see you next
Glad.
chance I get.
All right.
Good
All
night.
right.
Enjoy your
Bye.
dinner. Good night.
Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you. Bye.
Gigi.
Being
Gigi.
chased from
Annie.
9 villages
Annie.
for the truth is a good accolade, I would say.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry again, Matthew.
I would Apostle Dude being chased from 9 villages for telling the truth is a good accolade.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have something more to say on that, but go ahead. Either Annie or Gail.
I think
Joe.
Matthew
Hi,
was
Joe.
before me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, Joe and Fran. Just wanted to say
Hello,
hi.
hello,
Hi, Annie.
Annie.
Hi,
That
Annie.
was hi, Gail. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Matthew. Or Matt.
Hello.
Sorry.
Annie. Annie.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you all moved in?
I moved in. I still have a lot to do. The person who lived here before me didn't know anything about cleaning, so I had to clean everything,
Oh,
Oh
boy.
dear.
top to bottom. But
Oh,
it's feeling like home, and it's already and feels like I own a house because it's a good sized apartment and
Oh, good.
yeah, very nice, especially
I'm
considering
happy.
where I came from.
I
I'm
know.
happy for you.
What state are you in?
I'm in New York State.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
Well, we look forward
Yeah.
to seeing it.
Yeah. Congratulations, Annie.
well, you'll have to come visit because we live in the same state.
Yes, we will. You know we will.
But
Don't worry.
I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
comment what a beautiful wedding picture that was
Oh, thank you.
of you. And the topic, I'm not going to stay on too long right away because I'm cooking and I don't want to be making a lot of noise. The topic of lying is quite interesting. I have come to refer to the television as a tele-lie-vision.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Because how do you believe anything that's on it? I
Yes,
feel like every just about everything on there is a lie. It's slanted at least. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we all do stretch the truth a little bit, I guess I would say. And from time to time, circumstances hit us sometimes that we're almost pushed to it.
That's true.
We don't, even though we don't want to.
That's it. Well, so that's it. Like I said, different motives for not being totally truthful. We all have
Right.
different motives. And yeah. And that gets into the point where we have the choice of whether or not we want to be truthful.
Right.
And that seems to be that's where the power lies in our choice. It's not whether or not we can get it somewhere.
Who's typing? Somebody's typing away.
Somebody's fast.
Yeah. Huh?
Oh, I am so sorry.
Matthew, congratulations.
Sorry, I got to
That's all right, Matthew. I'm like, who's typing?
I am so sick how red I've got.
And Matthew, we're so good. We know exactly what you've been typing too.
Yeah, now we want to know what you're typing.
Sean has been trying to get me to help. I'm saying, do you really want to throw me in the...
Turn it on red, Matthew.
Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry.
So Matt, just want to say we appreciate you being truthful, but it was you.
My goodness.
I wasn't typing.
I got blamed for it.
That's why I became an enemy in the branch, and I didn't realize, because all my life, from the direction from the coordinator's office, he told me years ago, he says, you are going to transcribe everything
Wow.
That's I'm in that mode, and I've got Shauna here. I think she's trying to get some help and some assistance here.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I'm a bit lost in all of this, so we're just trying to see where I can fit in. That's all.
Oh,
sorry about that, everybody.
No, not a
type
problem.
away. Type
We
away.
forgive you,
Type
Matthew.
away.
Matthew.
You want my 2 cents about lying?
2 cents. 2 cents, Gail.
Okay, I think people lie for a variety of reasons, and
Yep.
as a rule, I don't like to lie. But have I lied? I'd be a liar if I said I didn't.
It's truthful.
I've lied to protect myself and others, but
Of course.
I don't mean to be a bragger, but I've developed a reputation for not lying. So I've had a few people come to me and said, ask Gail because she'll tell you the truth. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I had a few incidents in the workforce where they wanted me to lie and I refused to, and I got in trouble for it.
Yeah.
So you can't win. But I think of children, because who lies a lot is little kids so they won't get punished. And I've had that experience with my own children lying, and they're lying, but they don't want to get in trouble. But as far as the government goes, I don't trust anything they say anymore. It's insane what's going on. They want to manipulate you. They want to control you. And who does that sound like? The JWs did the same thing. And I think people lie for self-protection. I think you can also, you don't want to hurt someone else's feelings.
Right.
You can tell a little white lie, like if someone says, "How do you like my new haircut?" But I'm not the one to ask because I'll tell them the truth. But I always say in the work, I say, "Don't ask me because I'll tell you the truth, and you're going to get mad at me." So,
don't ask Gail. Don't ask Gail.
Then I got in trouble. They wanted me to sign a client's name to a document, and I said, "Look, I don't care how upset you get with. I'm not signing someone else's name. That's fraud, and I'm not going to for it." I got yelled at for it, but I didn't care. I wasn't going to do that. Yeah. And then I had an incident where this is a funny story. I was working in a mental health office, and there were social workers and a couple of psychiatrists. Well, one of the psychiatrists was a raving alcoholic, and he came running into the building, and I was sitting there, and the police were behind him, and he told the police that he was chasing one of the clients. So the police said, "Did you see anybody missing?" I said, "Nobody came through there." Well, he was really mad because he was speeding on his way to work. So the police chased him into the office. And he said that he was chasing a client who was psychotic. I went out the back door, and I said, "Nobody came through here." So he got a little upset with me, but I wasn't going to lie to the police. Geez, so that was a funny story, but he was terrible. He was the head of McLean's Hospital as the top psychiatrist, if you can believe that one.
Yeah.
I remember I was working in a woman's house, which I've worked in people's homes all my life, and the phone rang, and she asked me to get it, and so I did, and she says, "Well, just tell them I'm not here." And I said, I can't do that, because if I can lie to them, I can lie to you. Good. And she really appreciated that.
That's good.
She never asked me to do that again.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah.
I think everybody's lied once in their life.
Well, look, I mean, it's what the Bible says. The Bible, which was, as far as I'm concerned, it was written by men, but has so many helpful, truthful statements in it, and that's one of them. All men be a liar. We're all liars, which doesn't say much about. It doesn't say anything about the character of our lies.
Yeah, that's
because maybe, like you said, are you going to tell somebody that's going to devastate them something that's true that they really don't need to know? No, you don't want to devastate somebody with the truth.
Joe, does that scripture read slightly differently in that it says, "So every man be found a liar and God be found truthful," something more to that effect?
There was more to it there, but I don't care about God personally.
I just thought I'd put a little different slant on it, though.
Yes, no, it's true. Well, see, so the contrast is we're liars, but God isn't. But honestly, I think you could come up with some situations in the Bible where uh, uh, the someone high up was not being truthful. At any rate, they had reasons for it. But we're not going there. The point is, what do we do about this nature? Because we're being confronted with it constantly, especially in this day of media saturation. Because there was a time when we didn't have radios, we didn't have television, we didn't have the internet, didn't even have a newspaper. So we weren't bombarded with all this stuff. But now we're bombarded with it constantly. And what we're bombarded with is going to affect us. So if we're saturated with lies, well, I guess I can be a liar too.
I'm laughing because Seth made a comment. He said, I think I'm going to take a shot every time we say or hear the word lie or truth.
Wow.
Go ahead, but you're in trouble.
Wow, didn't mean to yell.
I think personally, the biggest and the most devastating and hurtful lie is when you trust and believe in somebody, especially the Watchtower, and sometimes your own parents, that you don't expect that.
No.
And when you find out, it's a devastating feeling to find out that someone you put all your trust and soul into will lie to you. And I just can't get over that for the life of me, what it does to us as people.
Yeah. Well, I think that what's connected or not connected to that is love. Mm-hmm. In other words, you could have love connected to a lie. In other words, well, why did you lie to me? It's because actually it was the loving thing to do. Or why you told them the truth and you wanted to hurt them. See, it's what's your motive. So honestly, personally, I don't think lies are the biggest problem. I think it's the motive and the power that what they do is the problem.
I love
it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say that's a good point.
Yeah.
I love what Jack Nicholson said in that movie, You Can't Handle the Truth. There's a lot of truth to that. There is.
Yeah. Look, if you told people in this country, if the government was truthful, people would either walk away, they'd never listen again, or they'd go storm the Capitol and want to destroy the place.
What was the bumper sticker?
Bumper sticker is "Don't lie. The government hates competition."
Oh, that's a good one.
It's true. That's true.
It is true.
There's a very good short video here. Some of you may be familiar with this woman, but she's pretty sharp. She's almost like a savant, but she follows and watches the not only political but the financial world. It's very interesting. We live in this situation that she's describing. So, 14 minutes.
Yeah, if you have the video, Shauna, if you can show it, please, when you're able.
The CIA has meddled in elections all over the world and overthrown governments all over the world. And our elections have always pretty much been fake since they've been around, So like this election is no different. I know that people like the whole idea of we need the political savior to come save us. Let's get the right guy in the White House. What a mess our whole country is. We need to get the right guy in the White House. The guy in the White House is always a front for the bankers. And it's pretty much always been that way. The CIA itself, it's the bankers. If you look at the early CIA, it was all bankers. It was Wall Street lawyers out of Sullivan and Cromwell. That's who's been doing this the whole time. And now they're enslaving the planet with spy satellites. and they're the spies, you know? So like, I don't know. I just get so tired of the election rhetoric sometimes. People just really need to understand that this is the bankers. They run the public sector. They run the private sector. This is a financial slavery system. It's the slavery system they've been using for decades, but on steroids. And in Latin America, their big focus is to integrate Argentina and Brazil. They want to do the same thing to South America that they did to Europe to create the European Union, which is start with a free trade agreement for all of Europe. That's how the EU started. It evolves into this bureaucratic totalitarian behemoth, and it's yoked to the US through the Eurodollar. They're doing the same thing in Latin America. There's all these different iterations of it, right-leaning and left-leaning, which are basically all globalist governance, attempts for South to, integrate South America at the regional level. There's PROSUR, there's Mercosur, there's UNASUR, there's ALADI, there's all these different acronyms. There's the Organization of American States. The goal of all of these, one way or another, is to regionally integrate, whether it's under right-leaning dialectics or left-leaning dialectics. That's what they want. And they want a free trade of the Americas. So not just NAFTA, that was the North American one, right? They want one for all of the Americas. They want to regionally integrate all of the Americas at the economic level, lead it down this path towards bureaucratic regional governance to be part of this global governance patchwork thing, which has been, the push for arguably a very, 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 very long time. And they want to do it with spy satellites and all this other stuff going on. But the idea is to do that same model used in the EU, but they want to yoke it with dollar stable coins, not the euro dollar necessarily. And so the Argentina, Brazil and Argentina are the ones they need to have most under their thumb because they're the biggest countries in size of South America. You get Brazil and Argentina, you basically get the whole continent. So my concern is you're going to have them try and do it the right-leaning way through people like Javier Milei, and if they get him back in power, Bolsonaro, and frame them as, they're defeating the baddies, but really they're just, they're the other hand, like we discussed earlier. And what's interesting too is like a lot of this group that's discussed in the Green Plus piece, RSK, the satellite firm, and some of the connective tissue between them that includes, Zappo, Wince Casares, and these figures are essentially like the Argentinian branch of the PayPal mafia. A lot of their companies were funded and directed by this entity that Mark mentioned earlier called Endeavor, which is chaired right now by Edgar Bronfman Jr., who, if you've read my book, you'll know a lot about the Bronfmans and organized crime and political power. They're, for example, the family that essentially bankrolled Justin Trudeau in Canada, among other figures. And they're very powerful. Reid Hoffman of the PayPal mafia and LinkedIn and whatnot, also a very close Epstein pal, is also very intimately tied up with Endeavor. And the companies that Endeavor helped create are some of the biggest companies in Latin America now. Many of them are based in Argentina. The biggest one, of course, is based in Argentina. The first Endeavor success story, which would be Mercado Libre, which is Marcos Galperin, who, as Mark mentioned earlier, he's on the board of Satellogic, involved with a lot of these other companies. Mercado Libre itself is very much interfaced with Paxos, PayPal, and groups like that. And it's sort of like what happened earlier, what I mentioned earlier about those figures sort of king making the corporate titans of Latin America. So this is like a modern iteration of that with like the same players. They're funding these startups and ensuring which companies get big and if they succeed, but Endeavor's not an Argentinian entity. It's an entity run by people like Edgar Bronfman and Reid Hoffman. And so there's an Endeavor Argentina branch, and pretty much all of these companies that we discuss in the piece that are based in Argentina are part of this Endeavor Argentina network. And Argentina is where I would argue, are going to test out a lot of these efforts, most likely under Milei, because he's very amenable to these kinds of policies. And so one of these figures that, that comes up a lot in the piece, this Diego Gutierrez, he's one of the co-founders of RSK, of Rootstock. He gave this very revealing interview about a year ago, and he was talking about several things that I think are important to bring up in the context of this interview. One of them is that as Bitcoin becomes integrated into Wall Street, Bitcoin has to shed its ethos, as he called it. Essentially, it has to stop being a tool of dissent, a threat to both commercial and central banks, and essentially become their tool. That's what he says. So for Bitcoin to succeed, in his eyes, that has to happen. So that's very telling. And then he also also says that there's going to be a concerted push to move away from money printed by the state, meaning central banks, and instead move to commodity-backed stable coins where the people that own the commodities will have all the power. I think that's very interesting because obviously Milei, in his case, right, came to power framing himself as very libertarian, but his policies thus far have shown him to be very crony capitalist, in my opinion. We've talked about this before, and Mark brought up some stuff, to that point, but keep in mind too that, a lot of the people in his government are from JP Morgan, for example, or the Argentinian branch of major Wall Street banks. He's been very closey with people like Fink and Musk, as discussed, among others, and, very friendly with like Zelensky and the Ukraine stuff. I mean, this is not a very libertarian guy under other metrics. And there's been a lot of, antagonism with him and Argentina's central bank, which of course is responsible for a lot of bad stuff that has happened in Argentina. But people also need to remember the history of how Argentina got here, which as a lot of this fiscal trouble for Argentina began when it was run by a US and CIA-backed military coup, then under Carlos Menem, who was the great, I say this great not in the actually like, oh, that was great sense, like big, I guess, the big neoliberal in Argentina recent political history, who was basically just like a goon for, US, foreign interests really to like gobble up Argentinian resources. Milei is a big fan of Menem, and some of the people that are in his government started their political careers under Menem, like Patricia Bullrich, the interior minister, for example. So, you could really frame Milei as a continuation of that stuff, because Mauricio Macri, a lot of people in Milei's government are from the Macri government, especially his economics team. There's a direct line to all of that. And so I am very concerned that, that would be celebrated as like a big, yes, he's gonna, the central bank's not gonna print the peso anymore. It's over and he's saved Argentina. Well, is it really saving Argentina if he's, going to make, they're going to use dollar-pegged stable coins. They're regulating the credit of Bitcoin right now. And they're going to move to this whole model of commodity-backed stable coins, which is already actually happening in Argentina. A company backed by Visa that's based in Argentina is tokenizing basically all of the country's grain deposits to use that as currency. So whoever owns all of the grains, and the biggest landowner is a big former backer of Mauricio Macri, part of Endeavor Argentina. His name is Eduardo Elstein. He owns all of the commodities. He's also a big shareholder of some of Israel's biggest companies. He's going to be the guy that basically controls the money then, right? At least with the grain-backed stable coins. So if you have all these oligarchs in charge of different industries, which is essentially what Argentina has been becoming and has been happening really everywhere around the world, who's going to be in charge of the money? Is that really better than the central bank having it? Because remember, the central bank's run by the commercial banks. So you're just getting, the same shit under a different, name, basically. I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff going on here, and it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. But the other side of this is what's happening in places like Argentina right now, where people have lost so much of their purchasing power. So like before Milei came to power, I think the poverty rate was just, it was insanely high. I think it was something like 60%. And then Milei came into power and devalued the currency by 50%, which led to a massive loss in purchasing power for Argentinians on top of that. Now Argentinians are so desperate and are being told that they're undergoing quote unquote shock therapy designed by a JP Morgan guy, that they're doing WorldCoin. They're scanning their eyes in the Sam Altman orb for shit coins and a cattle tag, a digital ID. And the idea is to have that be like your access to the internet and using, these tokens and these stable coins, using Tether, using USDC, whatever supported by Mercado Libre's giant entity, Mercado Pago, which is also integrated with Brazil's biggest crypto exchange, Mercado Bitcoin. And then there's Ripio in the mix, which is partnered with all of these guys too. They're going to control all the rails that stuff runs on. And that's where people are running because their money has been so devalued and they have no alternative. And I think that's ultimately the goal, is to get people on programmable, surveillable money by any means necessary. So if you won't do it because you're like, oh yeah, this is a way I'm going to use JP Morgan coin and beat the Fed CBDC, if you're not going to get suckered into that, then, it seems like they'll use destabilization and desperation as a way to get people to onboard into the systems that they're creating. They're not just going to spend billions of dollars creating these systems and have no one use them. They're going to try and use either, desperation created by public sector policies or by private sector policies, and then have, sort of like 2008. Oh, look, the private banks have destroyed the economy. Now we need the public sector to come in and rein them in, even though Obama's cabinet that was supposed to be doing that was literally literally chosen by Citigroup, right? They're the ones that are going to come in and they're going to rein these in, and these are the policies and changes that need to be made, but actually it's the bankers that wrote the changes that need to be made, right? So we're likely going to get set up for something like that, where they're going to try and make like existing money worthless, and if you want your money to be worth anything and maintain any sort of semblance of purchasing power, you have to use financial products X, Y, and Z, and they're all going to be programmable and surveillable, if not by the private sector, by the public sector. And they're all going to be interoperable. They're going to be all these different wallets and digital ID systems that look like they're different companies, but they're all the same, essentially, in terms that they can export all their data to the same central global database. And, that's essentially the goal here. So how do we fight against that? Don't use the database. Don't use the digital wallet. Don't use the digital ID. Don't interact with the system. And I think also, I think Bitcoin is obviously very key to their plans, but they need Bitcoin to stay, as Larry Fink said, a technology for asset storage. They refuse to have it be a currency. And actually, Jeffrey Epstein gave an interview about Bitcoin that I didn't know about until maybe a couple months ago when we started researching this. Oh, yes. No and idea. He says the exact same thing Larry Fink says. It's not a currency. It's, a technology for asset storage. Basically, if Bitcoin is kept in that box that people like Larry Fink and Jeffrey Epstein and people like them, Larry Summers, presumably, who was on the Zappo advisory board, these guys want Bitcoin to be a specific thing because they can use it. And there's people in the space, like this RSK guy, saying Bitcoin needs to lose its revolutionary ethos. It's got to drop that and become a tool for Wall Street. I think it's pretty obvious what needs to be done to scuttle those plans, which would be ensure the opposite.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Use open source software.
So people need to be putting resources into making that happen. And by
trying my best here, Whitney.
The fact that basically to recap on that, if they need the Bitcoin blockchain for asset storage, and presumably if we're right about what's going on in this article, which we seem to be, carbon markets, they need that blockchain. How do we invert their plans and use the Bitcoin blockchain so that it's the tool of financial freedom it was heralded to be, because they can't get rid of it without scuttling their own plans, right? So how do we...
Bitcoin is money. It's not digital property.
Use it.
It's digital property, but it is money. And it's hard within Bitcoin. There's a lot of hero worship these days. A lot of people getting a lot of pushback.
Yes, well, it's not just Bitcoin. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah. And pretty much most of the heroes are bitches for bankers, whether it's in Bitcoin or in politics. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I think it's important to say, too, that I think there's a lot of people in the Bitcoin media space that will never talk about this or what you just mentioned. And I think a lot of that is because a lot of money and effort has been put into specifically homogenizing media discourse in the Bitcoin space, because they want Bitcoiners as much as possible to be compliant, while Larry Fink and his ilk do what they want with Bitcoin and make it what they want it to be, so that people are content with number grow up and sort of the Saylor-esque talking points that have gotten a lot of people have heard those versus what you just mentioned from example. There needs to be a cultural shift in Bitcoin in the opposite direction of what this Diego guy from Rootstock said, where he's like, we need to drop the whole, stop fiscal irresponsibility of the banks and central banks and, be a challenge and threat to their power. We have to drop that if we want to get rich. I mean, that's the mentality there. And I feel like the Saylor mentality really isn't that different from that. We have to push people in the other direction, because if we go in the direction they're pushing those, people to go in, people that want to drop the ethos or whatever and make Bitcoin just a tool for Wall Street. I mean, no, if we let that happen, very bad things happen, and there has to be a fight. And there's a specific effort that's been launched against people that hold Bitcoin to try and get them to be compliant in that sense. And that's through, controlling the discourse in the media space. There needs to be a desire among Bitcoiners to return to the original ethos, not the opposite. There needs to be a fight for that. People need to care about that again.
Unmute. Okay, here we are. Well, that was interesting. A lot there.
It's all about the bankers.
Yes. I've watched a lot of her interviews on YouTube. She's pretty smart.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah, and interesting, Watchtower would be nothing without banker backup. Mm-hmm. The banks back them up. They do not need money from the Friends. They do not.
I agree. I say that all the time.
Everything they do, whatever they do, and then a check, they get the check to cover it. They're backed by bankers. They're doing like she said. They're bitches for the bankers.
Mm-hmm.
They do whatever the banker wants them to do, and we are the pawns that carry it out, or were the pawns that carried it out. And for what purpose? They're not going to tell us. But what are they using all this effort and power and money and influence for? Well, it's got to be for government. It has to be very political. I'm convinced that the people that are in the Watchtower organization, the ones that stay in, are going to be walked into a political government situation. Very political. Very political. Not religious. Not religious. Trick. Bait and switch.
Fran and Joe, what do you know about the quantum computers that have overturned the Bitcoin or digital currency? Because I'm in the comprehension that there is no secure currency with that, but they have endeavored to try and sow into people's minds that they have increased the encryption of that currency, but that's not true.
Yeah. Right. I think it's a question of confidence and perception, and I guess that's what they're working hard at right now, at getting people to think something that isn't true. Government always has done that. Government's always done that. Controlled people's minds to think something that really isn't true.
Hello, Seth. Seth is on stage.
Hi, Seth.
Seth has vanished from the building.
He disappeared.
Yeah, see, I can't say much more than that because I really don't get into the weeds with that, Matthew. But I just know that what the media does is puts forth the bankers' ideas for us to accept. They need acceptance from us. And they're working very hard at getting us to accept something.
Spirit.
So again, it seems to be information control. They're relying on people not knowing how that mechanism works.
Yeah.
Spirit Shala said, does anyone know which banks specifically back up?
Back up. Well, I'm not sure what she means by back up. I don't know if I can answer. I can't answer that question, but I can say that anyone who uses a bank generally agrees that the money that we put into the bank can be used by the bank whenever it feels it needs to. We agreed to that without realizing that we agreed to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a buy-in, not a buyout. The buyout was when the government covered the bank's mistakes. Buy-in is when the depositor, us, where they take our money to cover for their misuse or whatever.
And of course, you realize they own all the money anyways. They print it. We don't.
That's right.
It's basically on loan to us, but they have a lot of control over it in the long run.
And we're all basically debt slaves.
Right.
The money makes us slaves, and it's all, and this parallels with what's going on with Watchtower and the Friends right now. This is an example. There are friends that are out. They're physically out, and also mentally out. They don't want to go back in. I don't want to go back in ever, under any circumstances.
Me neither. Oh my God.
There are some that are realizing, oh, you know, it's not all it's cracked up to be being out in the real world. You know, you've got a this, you've got a that. I don't prefer, you know, having to make decisions like this. I kind of like, you know, I feel more secure when someone's making decisions for me. And I'm more than willing to just obey them and be protected by them. And it boils down to the fact that some people, individuals, are much more comfortable, frankly, being enslaved. In other words, having a master over them who will take care of them. I get it. And in fact, the Bible even put forth that situation. It talked about, you know, if your heart is tied up with the master's heart and whatever, and you want to be a slave, you know, go up against a door and they'll poke an awl through your ear and put a ring on you. And now, there, you're his slave and you're happy and he's happy and everybody's happy now. Well, not everybody wants to be a slave, but some people do. And that's reality. That's reality. And there's no judgment here. What I say to friends, if they feel more comfortable, secure under that circumstance, look for that. You know, look for an organization or a place that can be your master and be a good slave. Be whatever you want to be there. But on the other hand, if your heart and mind says, no way, I'm no slave, I will not be a slave, then don't kid yourself. Most institutions will make a slave out of you. Man's institutions are designed to dominate. That's where the domination comes from. Man's institutions. It institutionalizes us, like being in an institution. That's literally what they do. I think the biggest thing right now for all of us is being aware and awakened and ascending to who we personally need to be. Not who someone said we need to be, but who we personally need to be. And that's where the truth comes in. You know, are we living our truthfulness? And I think we're watching everybody go through this awareness. It's not just happening with Jehovah's Witnesses. It's happening, you know, with other Christian religions. So many are coming out and realizing this, you know, we're awakening from this. And others, on the other hand, are drawing closer together in smaller type of church units because they're comfortable with the security of that small situation or whatever.
We were talking, and I was asking Joe, do you think that the younger people are returning to church, you know, with Charlie Kirk and, you know, their big message is, you know, go to church. I just wonder, because we don't go to church, and I wonder, are there young people there? If anybody in the chat wants to, I know there's some here that do, and, you know, that's great for them. Some recently got baptized again as a Christian, not as a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
So I just wonder if that message that they're putting out, you know, Erica Kirk or their group talking about going back to church.
Oh, they're pushing church
is
a
that
lot.
resonating with people? Are people going back? I mean, that's an interesting question to ask people. I know I want to ask, like, our nephew, they're in their 30s. They just had a baby, and all of his friends are newly married,
successful,
new children, successful. And, you know, where are they at with church? I mean, they're Catholic, but so I just wonder if this message is resonating with people.
I think it is today. In Utah, Turning Point had the largest amount of young people that turned out today. It's a new Christian movement, and it's a lot of, I guess, Charlie Kirk reached a lot of young people. I forgot how many thousands showed up today in Utah for the Turning Point conference that they had. But I know that in Washington, D.C. over the summer, they had a huge movement with all Christians all over the stairs and raising their hands, and everyone was giving out praise to Jesus. So, yeah, if you look in all different states, it's growing in popularity here in the United States.
Well, did you
I'm
see the
sorry.
rap? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you see the rapture movement that hit all over the world?
Yes.
Yes.
And what was that for the 23rd of
September.
September?
Did anybody go?
No, I was busy
I went,
moving.
but I came back.
Is everybody still here?
I mean,
But it reminded me of 1975 when witnesses sold things. I mean, this was more extreme because people were so convinced they were going to be raptured to heaven. They closed bank accounts. They gave everything away. They were so excited. They were going to go, and others were going to be left behind, as if they could judge them. And all over the world, there was response to this. It was absolutely crazy.
And so the statement, "There's nothing new under
Yeah.
the sun."
Yes, that's true.
Oh, I guess people.
You know, here's an obvious thing that many people miss. What Charlie's last name is? What?
Kirk.
Kirk. You know what that means in the German language?
No.
Church.
Church.
Oh, really? Wow.
Wasn't the guy on Star Trek Kirk, Captain Kirk?
Yeah, it's true.
Mm.
It's true. But here they're pushing people in that movement. Some of you probably saw the memorial or whatever convention they had for Charlie. It was everything about it was pushing people back into church.
Well, yeah,
And
because
it's like,
government has always used religion. So,
yeah, and I
and
think
every time people start to drift away from it, there's a revival, and that's what happened when Russell started his religion. There was at that time there was currently a revival of interest in religion again, and the printed page was coming about and being used more and more. So the timing was perfect for him to start.
And here now they've got mass media,
Right.
much more powerful than just a little book, books that they used to put out. They learned off a Watchtower, and now they're going to go at it with a vengeance. And honestly, I think they're going to talk everybody into some political, religious, Constantine-like situation. Worked before Christianity worked for Constantine, and now this is going to work for whoever.
We just want to mention that October 18th is Born JW's birthday. She put it in the chat. And also on October 6th is Sarah Hughes' birthday. So we'll be adding that to the website. Our website is ExJWFriends. So we'll put that in there. I'm Your Daddy says, I love Constantine. The memorial for Charlie had a lot of strange parallels to the blood libel martyr stuff. John Piano said that.
There's something interesting. We all have some notion and some feeling about the child that goes to school and identifies as a cat. Say they believe they're a cat. They identify as a cat, and you get adults that identify one way or the other with something other than what they may show themselves to be. They identify as something else. So, and I just thought about that, and it's like, well, that's like a human who would identify as a sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And here, we're not sheep. Yet, the Bible pushes hard at getting people to identify as a sheep, which has absolutely no sovereignty if you think about it. You know, sheep are for the slaughter. Sheep are has absolutely nothing to do with a human. I mean, humans herd and eat sheep. They use sheep. And here we're to identify. And it's like, this is not new. Everything that's happening now, it's not new and it's being used. There's so many things now to have to think about and to take that next step and to elevate our thinking. Yesterday's thinking and yesterday's beliefs may not work for us today and tomorrow. And it's uncomfortable for many people because, you know, many people just don't like to change. They don't like to rearrange. They don't like to disruption.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, we need to make adjustments sometime.
To
Joe?
answer that question, excuse me just a second, Matthew. Beverly said lots of youth at church we attend, large youth group programs, music, college age too. They love singing, playing drums, guitars, and sax.
Yeah, people would enjoy that kind of togetherness.
Yeah.
Matthew?
Yeah, Fran, Joe, I don't know how in tune with the frontline psychologists you are. I know that Rick Farron was endeavoring, in fact, that was the way that things were opened up during the assembly, that Stay Alive 2025 was connecting to, health practitioners and doctorates and, the persons who are licensed. And that opened up a tremendous amount because it was no longer, just a group. It was connected to mental health, which is, a big thing. But how far, and again, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything like this, but how far are you observing that the pioneering psychologists are picking up the pieces of what's going on with the religious control that we're seeing is so prevalent?
Well, I'm going to look back before I look forward, but Jung had a lot to say. He had a tremendous amount to say about man's desire for religion and myths. And now, as far as the latest, what I heard just recently is that those cultures that live with a myth, with appear to be the most healthiest cultures. They have some myth that they live according to. Okay. It may not be true, but it's something that provides them with a framework to guide their lives by, and keeps them together. And I can understand that well, but it better be one that takes care of them and that doesn't abuse them. It better be something that works for them. And that's where, you study different cultures and different myths. It seems that each different myth culture, they do pretty well to themselves, so long as they stay within their people. It's when one gets pushed onto the other, and there's a forcing, like Christianity onto the nations, which Constantine did, because his goal was to push that myth onto pagans. He pushed it onto pagans. Pagans had their own myth. They had their own mythology. They enjoyed it. It worked. Leave me alone. I like it. You know, I said, no, 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 no. We've got to unify my nation. He was I can't think of the word.
Yeah.
His
Not kingdom.
Kingdom, bigger than kingdom.
Constantine.
He had to unify it. So he said, religion's going to be the way, and it's going to be this religion. Boom. Get into it or else. And that's when you seem to have when the myth is forced on people. But if it's accepted and if it's developed by people and they've lived it, they'll probably do well. They do better than people without a myth. That's what was acknowledged.
Emperor. I looked it up.
Thank you. Yeah, no, there's so much going on now. We have the benefit of looking back as well as projecting forward now. And I think we're in a very interesting time, to make some good decisions for ourselves.
Fran and Joe, I don't know how your audience feels about a name drop, but I've been doing some work and I came across a Don Latin. And it may be useful. I'm not pushing one belief system above another.
Would you spell it just so we...
Don, D-O-N.
Right.
Latin, L-A-T-T-I-N.
Oh, okay.
And what you are talking about here, it's just, there's too many coincidences. And
they're not
and
coincidences.
It's more providences, right?
Yeah.
Now, he's a former journalist, and some of the kind of books a very prolific writer. He's the author of Jesus Freaks, A Story of Murder and Madness on the Evangelical Edge. What else has he done? Following Our Bliss, How the Spiritual Ideals of the 60s Shape Our Lives Today. Mm-hmm. And then he's got, he even goes into the psychedelic movement, the Harvard Psychedelic Club, and mentions Timothy Leary, Ram Dass, Huston Smith, Andrew Weil, those kind of people. And this new age for America. So he's very, very well researched, going into psychotherapy and all of this kind of thing. And so he's putting into very plain English, whereas I make things, or I can steer towards quite complex things and get into quite a bit of trouble with it. But he put it very, very simply, this Kirk situation or the current front line of what's happening on the world scene. And I just thought that might be a good reference for anybody who's interested, because he puts it very simply, whereas maybe we get lost in the complexity.
Yeah. No, I'm more than happy. We're going to check him out. I've got him in front of me now.
What's nice about him is he's peer reviewed, and the frontline psychologists are listening to him, especially when it comes to things like parapsychology, which includes mysticism, religion, all of this kind of thing.
When I was going to school, this was the 70s, 75. Timothy Leary was very well written, and there was so much that he delved into the psychedelic, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a reawakening of that information now.
And replacement theology, is that coming up quite a lot?
I think so. I'm not sure where. I don't know exactly where that fits.
But it's ringing bells, right?
Yeah. In other words, all this. See, for the longest time, the front runners like them were on the edge. They were the fringe, and for the longest time, the traditional churches held sway. Mm-hmm. Well, now all bets are off. Now, to me, it's all about ascension. This is the time of ascension. People rising out of whatever boxes that they were in. And attaining. And frankly, personally, I think it's just a return to the pagan roots that we came from. I really do. Because the pagan roots that we came from were really pretty in depth with the different gods and goddesses. They really enabled a person to explore all the different natures that we are as a human being. Whereas the Catholic or the Christian or the whatever, they lock us in a box. There are more don'ts rather than explorations. And whereas, the Christian, or excuse me, the pagan mythology was so expansive. It really was. And frankly, I think that's where some are headed back to anyway.
Joe, I had this hope that we were kind of I don't want to fall into solipsism here, but I was hoping that we represent, in a way, society waking up.
Oh, we are. Oh my goodness. I think that's what I see.
I have that sense, but I don't want to sort of fool myself here.
Well, look, who wakes up all at the same time? No one does. If left to their own, people would establish their own sleep cycles and wake cycles. And that's exactly what's happening in a spiritual way. Everybody's got a different awakening. But honestly, I think that government doesn't prefer that. Government prefers everybody be on the same page. They prefer we all awaken according to the alarm clock, and they prefer we, come into this room to get your food that we will feed you, not that you like. And as long as we have governments, I think people are going to be always coming against that resistance of waking up.
I've got one more question for you, Joe, and it's to do with your chosen theme of truth, because we have experienced the lies, especially when there is a potential liability, and then you get the boot, or they sort of pull you in and they make it ambiguous and confusing because it's complex liabilities and things like this. So it's nothing to do with keeping the 10 commandments or anything like that, but it's about the liability and all of that. Any psychologist that's worth their salt, ethically, their goal is to help a person who's developed a mental problem or some kind of pain or some kind of psychosis or something. Their goal is to draw out the truth. I've never come across a situation where, you've got in the scriptures, I'm going to mention this, God saying, let's use this deceptive spirit to fool Ahab.
Right.
I don't see that in Jung. I don't see this in William James. I don't see this in any of the modern.
No, they were painfully honest.
Yeah, and they're going even to to the extent of using deep relaxation or hypnosis,
or psychedelics,
to help a person deal with traumas in the most truthful way possible. I don't see.
That was common with the pagan religions. With pagan religions were regularly with drugs, regularly, and it wasn't to get hammered. I mean, it wasn't to get wiped out. It was for awareness. It was for insight. It was for rebirth. In fact, that's where the original idea of being born again came from. Was literally being chemically induced death, and then brought back with a chemical antidote. And then literally, they literally overcame the fear of death, being literally born again physically. It just wasn't a mystical, it was a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful
Well,
stuff.
that's what happened to me 25 years ago. But it happened to me in the Bethel.
Wow.
Was a near-death experience.
Wow.
But going through that, at that time, we had the Bethel elders, and I'm going, this is absolutely phenomenal, the experience. It was, for me, it was a positive thing.
Oh, yeah.
Until going through that and processing it exposed the system, and I didn't realize that it shone a light to, So my processing it truthfully exposed me as a threat because of the awakening through the if you want to say, seeing behind the curtain.
Oh,
because what do they call it? The death experience or the near-death experience is seeing behind, and you lose your fear of death.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Matthew, can I ask you how long
Fabulous.
were you at Bethel?
Fran, do you know what a circuit overseer asked me this, and I couldn't answer, and he says, well, you're pretty useless for not being able to remember. But can I include the special pioneering and just say in the special order, because that was a good 15 years, and then as a full-time servant 25.
Wow. So you got some background.
Wow.
Interesting.
With that experience that you had, the near-death experience, that's an interesting combination of experience.
But what happened there, Joe, is I believe that particular Bethel was insular.
Right.
It was a country that was under sanctions. And in a way, it developed, like the Russian Jehovah's Witnesses kind of developed their own way. And then there was the opening of Russia, or the wall came down. And when that happened, then there was all these readjustments that were made, because they had kind of developed the religion on their own, and the reins had to get pulled in. So a similar thing, what we worked out is a similar thing happened where I was. The country had kind of developed in a slightly different way and was going towards truth. And then when things opened up, then they had sent in the missionaries, and they sent in the representatives and pulled the reins back. So it was kind of like when borders were up, okay, you can carry on, but when borders come down, then we change it. Wow. And I sort of see that it gave me personally the opportunity to see.
Wow.
I'm going to come to your theme, the truth.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the way it was. And when they were sending in people to make the adjustments, I was fighting against them and saying, no, you're not following the truth.
Yeah.
And not realizing, no, that's the way that they wanted to be, is according to the New York, charter.
Yeah.
Actually, South Africa got caught out. They had to answer to the governing body, because South Africa had its own annual general meeting. I got into a bit of a jam with you because I was saying AGM, and you were saying, Matt, what are you talking about? What's this AGM? You're talking in code.
Right.
You remember?
Yes, I remember.
Right.
I couldn't understand.
So when I was talking about AGM, I mean getting your ticket to Manhattan and sitting in Stanley Theatre.
Okay.
So if there's a shareholder friend, like the way I got it, or the way I was invited in there.
Wow.
They have tickets that they can give to a friend.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, I've heard.
That's what happened to Mark Sanderson. So when Mark Sanderson arrived there, that was his ticket into moving ahead in the ladder, right? Because you have an earth, fire, wind, water ritual that goes on. That's what happens in there. And they'll put up or project on the walls symbolism, but in the mind of the unwary, they're going, oh, but that's a warning symbol. They're teaching us don't be part of the churches. But by them putting the symbol up, who was it that did this? Loesch held up the gold mirror.
Yes,
Wow.
I remember that one. Yeah, just
So,
recently.
so if I said to you, was that a ritual? You're going, oh, hang on, let me think about it. Because let's take the organization's literature. If you take Spirits of the Dead and you turn over the pages, you see there's a mirror there. And they tell you, no, that's a spiritistic ritual. You're saying, but no, he's saying look into the mirror to analyze your personality. Meanwhile, it's this very spiritistic ritual that's in our, in our literature. And when you expose that, that's a problem, because you're saying, hang on a second, I'm seeing a match of all of these occult rituals.
Right.
Saying, oh no, but the spin is the devil learned that from Jehovah God, you see. So as long as it's Jehovah God doing it, that's fine.
So what it's boiling down to is Constantine was smart enough to know that the people's hearts and minds were really tied up in their paganism. And so he had to develop a religion that combined the power and the appeal of their paganism, but dressed it up in a different, a different practice. And so everybody looking on say, oh boy, all that symbolism, wow, all that pageantry, all that this. Well, it's all paganry. It's all paganry. And the Watchtower did the same thing. Only thing on a different level with different things, with all that symbolism that you're saying. It's like, otherwise, if you want to learn the truth, just tell me the words and tell me the information and just leave it at that. Instead, no, it was filled with paganry, hidden, and you're familiar with astrotheology?
Yes.
Well, and this
because
is where,
that's our whole religion, isn't it? Because it's the Mazzaroth, and the zodiac.
And this is, but they don't want to admit that, because why don't they want to admit it? Why don't they? Because people had freedom back then, because people weren't in bondage back then, because people were they were more of their own sovereign creatures back then. And it seemed like the different gods, which were there many, allowed them to exercise their freedom, exercise their godness, because each individual has some godness in them. And I think it was so interesting back then. But like the Bible says all the time, the man dominated man. So the time of domination was when the religions come about. It says, hey, let's dominate mankind so I can have an empire. I want an empire. Let's dominate mankind. Enough of this individual appeal to the different gods. We've got to round all these people up like sheep.
I'm still in a state of shock. I'm sort of thinking, oh well, nothing's going to surprise me anymore, and then it surprises me again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? I go, where did I learn about Fritz Springmeier? Branch committee.
Really?
That's where did I learn about Illuminati? Branch committee.
Yeah.
Where did I learn about astrotheology? Writing department.
Well, they know. I mean, they know. It's just that they don't want people to know. So
who's the go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Who's the astrotheologist that was a witness?
The Italian.
But I
don't know.
Bonacci.
Bonacci.
Yes.
What a cool name, Bonacci.
Yeah.
That poor guy went off the rails a few years.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, he went off the rails.
He was a witness.
He backed off.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he was teaching this astrotheology in depth for years.
Yes, he was.
And well, guess what? I heard the astrotheology from Writing Desk.
Okay.
And it comes up when you're talking about Norway. because Norway has got the Nordics, which those are said to be the rulers of the planet.
Oh yeah.
That's a big, right? So you get into the very weird stuff in Norway because they're going. I had a slide presentation by one of the key figures in the organization. They were saying, "This is our future.
Yeah.
This Norway is our future." Why? Because these are the rulers of the planet.
Yeah.
And you're going, but what are you talking about? And then it goes into the Kessel constellation from Job, and they're starting to say, this idea of the center of the universe is the Pleiades system. And you're saying, but I thought that we had a watchtower that said that we're over and done with that.
Yeah.
No. They have a reverence and a fear.
And see, and this is where, well, why don't they just be truthful and tell us this? Because they lie. Because they don't want us to know.
Or truth by omission. So holding back the information to keep the artificial authority structure in place.
Right. It's domination. Domination.
Matthew, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is that
I'm
Gail?
listening.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, no, I have a question for you. Do the Masons originate from Norway? Or was that Scotland? Where did they start off? I know it was someone over there.
There is a Scottish rite.
So you got, okay, well done. Yeah. So the key there, Gail, Scottish rite. Because you're going to start seeing things like Illuminati. When did that come about? What's that linked to? But eventually you trace back to Egypt and you trace back to Sumeria and the Akkadian writings and Gilgamesh and all of this kind of stuff. So look, the Freemasonry thing is interesting for patterning. Same for Rosicrucianer, right? So as soon as you start seeing the patterning, but it's all interchangeable because like Joe was saying, there's archetypes throughout whatever culture you're in. I mean, a snake is a snake is a snake. You put a snake down on the ground in the East, they're going to jump up because the brain recognizes it and it gets a fright. It's the same thing. It almost like how language develops. You say mama or papa in English, or mummy or daddy, or in African languages, tata or baba. And you're going, well, why is there all these similarities in phonetics? Because there is a universal subconscious that does click into these kind of things. So you have archetypes, snakes, blood. Your dreams don't hold back on things like sexuality or dirt or profane, or you've killed somebody in your dream, or you've killed yourself or something. It doesn't hold back on these things because that is the program of the mind. And so all of that these religions have endeavored to do is kind of act as a way of psychologically reining people in for control so that your tribe doesn't destroy itself. That's what it's all about. And so we see this in media, like films like The Village, for instance, where you've got your elders who know what's on the outside, and they've created this insular society because they're saying, you know what, we want to protect our children. And these elders are saying, I was traumatized, I was raped, I experienced murder, and I never want my children ever to experience this. So I'm going to create this artificial place, almost like a Garden of Eden that doesn't exist. And we're going to scare them that if they go to the borders, something terrible is going to happen to them to try and protect them. And so our elders all agree to uphold the lie to try and save the generation. And then you suddenly see that film or that story where that's being done has been done on a global scale, because they're saying, you know what, humans have a dark nature as well as a light nature. And in order that we don't destroy ourselves, we're going to make this big, massive global planetary cult. And it's designed this way. And in a way, coming out of Jehovah's Witnesses or getting the boot from Jehovah's Witnesses has taught us a microcosm of the greater society. I don't know if that helps, Gail. Maybe that you wanted something more about Freemasons, but
Oh no! I was just asking you because my uncle was a Grand Poobah in the Masons, and I know there's different levels of Masons, but what I find interesting, they were trying to say that Charlie Kirk had the Mason ring on, his wife had the ring on.
Masons are all over the place.
I was just going to say that they're everywhere now, and that's all you see on YouTube is documentaries on the Freemasons. But my uncle was pretty closed-mouthed, and he was really high up there on the ladder, and he wouldn't discuss anything he did. But he was a very generous guy, and I had a couple other uncles that were Masons. Now my son became a Mason, but when he read their Bible, he tore up the Bible, and he said, "Ma, you don't know how demonic and evil they are." He said, "I can't tell you, Ma, but he says, I'm telling you," he says, I want nothing to do with them. So, and my uncle got really upset with my son because he wanted to groom him to get a higher level. But then my son, Sean, said, "Ma, I don't want anything to do with them." And he says, "I can't divulge why." He says, "But
and that just indicates the differences in the human. See, the human contains, like you said, the dark and the light and everything, whatever that means. There's such a wide range of nature. And this is where you try to contain the nature, and what you've done, you're destroying the human. The human is such that it can be exposed to all these different gods. I mean, if you study any of the pagan gods, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Yes, and what I found in life, I think everybody wants to belong to something, whether you're in a Hells Angels motorcycle group, a religious group, or the Masons.
Right.
I think everybody wants to belong to something.
And what these different gods did is enabled people to connect with their nature that they were experiencing. It was freeing. It had to be very freeing for the people. Very liberating.
We want to connect the family. That's what's hurt us the most, isn't it?
Yes. Good one, Matthew.
Can we have time for an intermission?
Yeah. Why? We have popcorn? Can we go get some popcorn?
Well, we have a song that Dinah lost.
Oh, very good.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Song, and it's called "Words in the Air." So this is her song.
Oh,
that's wonderful. Thank you. A toilet break.
Oh, wow. Get real, guys, it's time to face the facts. We're little strangers right under our backs. Families faceless, unknown, untold. How many of us know the names of our own? We're so caught up in our own little space, we forget the people right in our place. Ask them how their days go, it shows some care, but most times we don't even know they're there. Oh, we gotta change it up, break the mold. Get to know the ones we live with, long and old. They say we care, but it's just words in the air. We gotta show them we truly care. Neighbors passing by, never saying a word. Strangers in the night, living unheard. We're so busy scrolling through our feeds, forgetting the faces, forgetting the needs. But what if we took a minute, knocked on the door, showing we care a little more? We could be the change, the light in the dark, breaking the silence and sparking a heart. Oh, we gotta change it, break the mold. Get to know the ones we live with, y'all, you know. We say we care, but it's just words in the air. We gotta show them we truly care. We're not alone, we're all in this fight. Let's hold each other tight till the dark of night. We'll be the beacons, shining bright and bold. We'll make a difference, we'll never close. So let's start the movement, let's make some noise, let's get to know each other. Let's break the joys of being alone, of being adrift. Let's find our community, let's make a shift. For Get to know the ones we live beyond it all. We say bring care, only it's just words in the air. We gotta show 'em we truly care.
Yeah, it's different.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was nice.
Now, I think you said Shauna's
I
going to
think Shauna's going to do it with the caption,
so we'll get to see
the words.
all the words, just in case we didn't get them all. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Fran and Joe, who made that?
Dinah Lost. She comes on the program.
Yeah.
Lisa.
She's so talented.
Wow. Get real, guys, it's time to face the facts. We're little strangers right under our backs. Families faceless, unknown, untold. How many of us know the names of our own? We're so caught up in our own little space, we forget the people right in our place. Ask them how their days go, it shows some care. But most times we don't even know they're there. Oh, we gotta change it up, break them all. Get to know the ones we live with, long and all. They say we care, but it's just words in the air. We gotta show 'em we truly care. Neighbors passing by, never saying a word. Strangers in the night, living unheard. We're so busy scrolling through our feeds, forgetting the faces, forgetting the needs. But what if we took a minute, knocked on the door, showing we care a little more? We could be the change, the light in the dark, breaking the silence and sparking a heart. Oh, we gotta change it, break them all. Get to know the ones we live with, Say we care, but it's just words in the air. We gotta show 'em we truly care. We're not alone, we're all in this fight. Let's hold each other tight till the dark of night. We'll be the beacons, shining bright and bold. We'll make a difference, we'll never close. So let's start the movement, let's make some noise, let's get to know each other. Let's break the joys of being alone, of being adrift. Let's find our community, let's make a shift. Oh, we gotta change it up, break them all. Get to know the ones we live beyond it all. We say bring care, only it's just words in the air. We gotta show 'em we truly care.
Thank you.
It's beautiful,
Thank you, Dinah.
Dinah.
It's really, she's singing it, but it's like she said, she's got a robot voice. It helps me since I don't exactly have studio time being a mom.
You're doing wonderful.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
she's got two beautiful girls.
And you're sharing it with us. Thank you.
Thank you. It is
a nice touch.
Yeah, yeah. When I was looking at some of the pictures, some of the illustrations in there, it showed different people's sharing in their own celebrations that have meaning for them. And if you mix so many different people with different stories and different cultures, there's not much of a sharing. They don't understand each other's. This is where I think people need their own enclaves, their own personal areas where they can share their own values. And that's been taken away with this blending cultures and everything. Yeah. Sharing is one thing. But, well, look, the Chinese did that to a massive degree. The communists came in, Mao, and destroyed the the beautiful Chinese culture. Chinese don't even know their culture. They don't even know their culture, modern Chinese. But it's a rich, rich culture, very varied culture, and that's happening on a grand scale. Honestly, I think people are gravitating back toward a, um, an individual culture that they can share. We need that.
Mm-hmm.
People need that.
If anyone else wants to come on, please just go to the top of the chat at the StreamYard link and tap that. We've got about 40 more minutes. I know a lot of people come in at the end. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
I will let you on because I can see all the people in the in the background here.
Ah, thank you, Matthew. You're learning quickly.
Thrown in, yeah.
He's our cameraman. He's our new cameraman.
Yeah.
So Gail, I don't know if you know the idea in Freemasonry linked to the Bible, like Esarhaddon or Tubal Cain. Do you follow all those characters?
Who?
Tubal Cain.
No.
In the Bible. In the Bible.
Tubal Cain.
Oh, Cain and Abel.
Yeah, but there was Tubal.
Oh, I don't. Who's Tubal?
He was a metal worker, wasn't he, or something?
Oh, I don't know.
So yeah, that's the masonry, the building, isn't it? And of course, your master builder. That's the whole idea. So those are key names in Freemasonry.
Oh,
is Tubal Cain and
something to do with the Masons with building his temple and stuff.
Yeah, sure. Which is why when you go to Gilead, what do they teach you? They teach you the tabernacle and they teach you the temple of Sol or Mon, isn't it? Eh?
Oh.
So it's the sun and the moon. And then, of course, you go to the 4 letters, the tetragrammaton.
Yeah.
And you realize, wait a second, these 2 letters and these 2 letters, where you've got that, I don't know if I'm holding my hand up right. Sometimes it's reversed. But Yod Ha, Ha, you've got this, and then you've got the small nail, and then you've got the long nail, right?
Oh.
So if you take the 4 letters, actually they're 2 letters, because they're like your emojis on WhatsApp or your emojis on your cell phone or your hieroglyphics, which come from Egypt. So there were 2 types of writing. You had your hieroglyphs, and then you had a script writing that was in Egypt. But those letters, those 4 letters which make up the tetragrammaton are actually 2. One's male, one's female. And if you look at the letter like this, actually it's legs. And I don't want to be rude or anything, but it's the male side and it's the female side. Or Sol or Mon, or the sun and the moon, or the masculine or the feminine. And it goes to the Genesis account of the light and the dark, and that those were your polarities, your masculine energy and your female energy. You vibrate it and you bring out matter, you bring out life. And that's what the rabbis were teaching the priesthood through oral tradition. I remember that as a kid, that's what they were teaching us. With the rabbis coming from Israel, they were teaching us that, and teaching us these meditation techniques where you build worlds in imagination through the power of thought. Because I can say to Joe and Fran, I can say, can you think of the spot or the point? Now that's theosophy, is the point. So my thought is energizing it, but everybody now that's connected to the chat's thinking of the point. It doesn't have to be any particular size, but we've energized it with. Maybe I've gotten cut off there because they don't like this.
Okay.
But
we can hear you.
We build universes from that point on.
We can hear you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Maybe that's a good cue for me to. It's probably a good cue for me to shut up.
No. Well, this is where. No. This is where. I mean, when people hear this word, the occult, it's just like you said, it's hidden knowledge. It was hidden. It doesn't mean it was wicked. A cult doesn't mean wicked. It just means hidden. And so it's uncovered to the point where now we're discovering it. Everyone's discovering it. And honestly, I think that I don't see how governments can govern once people are awake. I really don't. And I think that's what they're going to bump up against, is the fact that people are becoming less and less governable because they have more and more knowledge. And it looks like, just with the Kirk situation in their organization, they're working their tails off to get people back to church, back into the corral, because they want those sheep. They need, otherwise they've got no power. They've got no power. None.
So weren't you saying that the columns are Masonic, and back in the Bible, the two columns,
Chicken and Boaz?
Yeah.
That's right.
And that is the Masonic, and they had them at the Kingdom
Hall.
Hall.
Halls
I was
always
just going to say that. They're in the Kingdom Halls.
They always had them.
And at the assembly halls,
Yeah.
they always had them.
The two towers.
Well, they had it at the East River, Bethel. You had Boaz and Jachin in the Golden Triangle, which was the Twin Towers. And now what do you have? You have the needle of Egypt that's in the middle. It's now standing in the profane place. And that's when they said, right, we're going to do the deal with Trump's son-in-law. And we're getting out of here because that's the sign. And you've got Lady Liberty, that's ISIS there. Actually, it's not a lady, it's a man, right?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it Saturn?
So you're getting into the Saturnalia. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So where do we get our Bible from? So you phone up Writing Desk and you say to them, right, we need to produce the new revised Standard Bible.
New Light.
Right? And they tell you, and you say to them, tell me, where are these texts David Splain keeps talking about? Because he was heading the writing department before Franz Schradel, right? Who's in research. So you say to them, well, do we have those texts? They say, yeah, we do. Okay, well, can I see them? Well, they photographs. Okay, photographs of what? Oh, Leningrad Codex and Biblico-Hebraica. So where did we get the photographs from? Oh, Vatican.
Wow.
But that's where we get the Quran from as well.
Right. It's all connected.
Yeah. There's going to be some
from the Vatican.
There's going to be some serious developments taking place. Serious developments.
So you would think that we would distribute the photographs to everybody who's a Bible student, right? So that you would do your own research, or that you would do your own linkages. Nope. We take the Greek interlinear, and Jeffrey Jackson's just said that we don't use that anymore. It's off. It's inaccurate.
Jeez.
The audience appreciates you, Matthew. They say Matthew is deep. I can hardly follow him.
Matthew.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, Fran. I don't mind when the folks say back it up.
No, that's okay.
No. Full forward.
We need to disclose these things, and we need to hear them over and over because it takes the time. People
need something to reach for.
Yeah.
No.
So they wouldn't allow for distribution of Biblico-Hebraica or Leningrad Codex. Here's another one. So every time they do the test, Matt, let's go into 607 BCE. Let's go into it. Can you now help us? We've got you on record, and they're recording, and they've got my little code name and everything like this. Okay, that's fine. I've got no problem with that. And you discover that the scholar who is pushing the 607 is one of our own, right?
Right. That I know.
But then he's disfellowshipped. but then we keep his information. But why is he disfellowshipped? Because he's got a crisis of conscience. And that's the other thing that they would do. I think somebody was asking me, I think it was Linda James, about crisis of conscience, saying, have you read it, Matt? Have you read it? It's going, yes, I read it. Years ago, it was in our library, which was used for the missionary home, right? Wow. That's where it was. And the circuit overseer says, what is this doing here? Oh, well, what's the problem? What's the problem? We got it somehow, you know. Wow. And I had to destroy that book. I was told I have to destroy it.
Wow.
So I destroyed it. That's what I did. Yeah. Oh. So yeah, that information is all power. You can't distribute that to people, because as soon as that's distributed, you can see for yourself all the different combinations of words that are applicable. It's not just what the faithful and discreet slave has picked. It all applies. Yeah. All of those nuances in different cultures around the world, so that you've got a complete spectrum of interpretation for this thing. The Bible is a remarkable book. There's no doubt about it. But the spectrum of being able to look at it is eclectic. It's completely eclectic. It's multidimensional.
Jay has a question, but it may be for another discussion. Does the purple triangle have anything to do with pyramidology? Upside down triangle and purple for royalty.
So if you look at chakras, in the Jewish side or the Hebrew side, that's Kabbalah, is the mystery school information, or that's the information that's passed on to the priesthood through the oral tradition. So if you put it into JW terms, those are the shields of Solomon's temple, the golden shield. So, or if you want to put it into Campbell's terms, that's the hero's journey. So you move, or if you go through Gurdjieff's mystery school, that's the different points on the gem. So you can affect the other side of the world through two movements. So through this shield. So all of those journeys, like the Kabbalah, the tree of life, you can move and you can affect anything through that occult knowledge, through that priesthood knowledge. You can affect the other side of the planet in two moves, because these two moves branch out. And if you want to think of it like a computer network, that's how it works. So that's the butterfly wing. I only have to make this little movement to affect the other side of the world. Take the Kirk situation. We're hearing about that in Africa. We're affected by that. So with one move, they've affected rules, laws, terrorism, laws to rein in your population and control. So that occult information moving in Solomon's temple, essentially it's the human body. And by extension, it's spiritual movement. It's the same thing. Solomon's temple, what is it? Sol, it's this side, and Mon is this side. You know, it's one is blue, one is red. It's all of those things. And you suddenly see the Kabbalah or the tree of life. It's us. This is God's thinking. This is supreme thinking, not made with hands. We're born into this world. And you see this up in the heavens. You see wombs there shooting out new stars. And you go, is that a human up there? It's the same pattern. And you look at the infinitesimally small, or the atomic, and you're seeing, oh, it's the same patterns again in Solomon's temple, or in the Genesis account, or this tree of life, or this movement in all of these patterns. And they would endeavor to teach that in the Gilead program. You would have either the 2-month program, or you would have the 5-month program, or you'd have the 10-month program. And they would endeavor to restructure the mind in such a way that you would see that pattern, and it becomes easier to navigate the spiritual realms or the occult realms or whatever. So that's why there's such a big deal about Gilead. It was supposed to create that kind of individual that would bring in the new system, new world order. That's what it was all geared for, right? That's your. You mentioned York Wright. Somebody mentioned York Wright. I think that was with you, Gail, when you were talking about Freemasonry, and I think somebody in the comment did mention 1717, if I'm not mistaken. They did hit on it, but that's just your modern history. It traces back even further. That's why I mentioned Tubal Cain, and I mentioned S.R. Haddon, for instance. Those patterns have been going back since antiquity, Akkadian systems and Sumer and all of that. So all of these things kind of converge to the same story or the same formula. And when you see that, then you're not lost navigating all these other religions, Buddhism or Hinduism or Shintoism, whatever. You start seeing, there's all of these parallels and all of it. Peru, go to Peru, and you even look at the symbology and the languages. Even the languages start to come alive because you realize, I'm looking at hieroglyphics, and it's the same way emojis work on my phone. They didn't actually want that stuff to be hidden. They were showing you, this is a dog, this is a cat, this is happy, this is sad. They wanted their language to be the dominant language of the planet and to survive the ages. It was all there to preserve knowledge. And the information that is coming out now, we're seeing, wow, actually we did have a great education among Jehovah's Witnesses if you knew where to look, if somebody was actually guiding you. I look at that book, Angels and Women.
Oh, yeah. I know that book.
And go, okay, well, so they say that that's a story, but it's a great metaphor for telling you how everything works. Mm-hmm. And just like, and you say, in Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't have oral tradition. Yes, we did. Who told you that Jesus Christ got his memory back when he was baptized? That's not in the Bible. We were told that through the organization. You try and search for it, you can't find that. Oh. And we said, Jesus got his pre-human existence memory back when he was baptized, when the dove comes down or the Holy Spirit comes down. And we go, that's in the Bible. No. Mm-hmm. That's a priesthood oral tradition that you received. And that's how the mystery schools have been going on since antiquity, whether it's 6,000 years or whether it's 600,000 years or 6 million years that we've been on the planet. And then eventually it goes into the other planetary systems, because Angels and Women is based upon Seola, which was done under automatic writing. And I think we've got some who are attending here in the audience who are saying, what the heck is Matt going on about with telepathic society and psychokinetics and everything like this? You're going, friends, this if you want to go into Freemasonry, this is where it's going to take you. Right. And it's going to take you into the Nordic society, and it's going to take you into our innate abilities. And I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying, if you want to go down that road, that is what is believed in the top tiers among Jehovah's Witnesses or Freemasonry or Rosicrucian or Kabbalistic practices or Islam or Shinto and all, or the non-religious side. If you want to go into Stephen Hawking, where he says there's no information that's destroyed and it's on the edge of a black hole.
Here's an issue though, Matt. Given the fact that there's the different areas that our minds can go toward, how is it though that the society would confine us to a very narrow-minded belief and have people shun each other for doing that?
Okay, I'll give it to you. So what happened in the story of Seola, or Angels and Women? So the water canopy was destroyed by means of the explosion that happened between Mars and Jupiter. So you look up in your telescope and you see all this asteroid belt. Mm-hmm. So when Samuel Hurd gets up, when he was a circuit overseer or whatever, and he says, have you read this Angels and Women book, which try and find it in the branch library now because it's all in boxes and taken away. And even now, your elders sitting on service desk, they can only get a text version. It's very carefully controlled on the system. They can't even get the books with the pictures anymore. You can only get the text versions. So that information is there because here's the belief. I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they're saying we used to live on Mars. We had a society on Mars. We had a society on the other planets, but because of our dark nature and our light nature, every time we advance as a society, we cut the planet into pieces. So in order to not repeat the same problem, we get sent to Earth, inhabit the new matrix or the new being, which is a human container that can absorb spirit. And the idea is do not release the information. You're living in the village and the elders are custodians that you never cut the planet into pieces anymore, which is why there's a big hullabaloo about nuclear physics, because they're saying that the Nordics are saying, no, our deal is you don't touch the nuclear side. You've got to dismantle your nuclear technology because we do not want a repetition of what happened between Mars and Jupiter. And I know this sounds as queer as anything, right, when you hear these stories, but there it is in our Siola book, or there it is in our Angels and Women book.
So who wrote Angels and Women? I just Googled
Smith. Was that not Smith?
Smith? Oh, yeah, Anne Eliza Smith. Right here.
When did that come out?
Yeah, when did it come out?
That was Russell's era, because he sanitized it. The Siola was done under automatic writing, and he sanitized it for
magazine.
Okay.
Oh, look. Okay, it says this is a revision of the book Siola by Mrs. J.G. Smith, according to the Golden Age magazine, October 27th, 1924, published by the Watchtower Society Jehovah's Witnesses. Siola was revised at the suggestion of Charles Taze Russell and published as this volume. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
If I remember correctly, you can correct me, Matthew. If I remember correctly, I believe this woman said that she didn't know how, she wasn't a writer at all, and that a demon came to her and he told her what to write in this book. And I remember hearing Brother Hurd saying what a marvelous book it was, and he did put it in the library.
That's right.
So, yes, and it was back in the 1800s or early 1900s, this book. I believe you can get it on Amazon.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. Yep, I see it right here.
Matthew,
and did you know that they called, Matthew probably knows this, that I remember last year, the Watchtower had all the congregations turn in all their publications in their books and magazines, because they were opening up museums, supposedly. But I think they had other, because Matthew's right. I have JORG on my laptop, so I went in to look up a couple of their publications. I wanted to see in their Revelation book about the subliminal messages that they have on there, that they have pictures of demons. They squashed all the photos off of the literature and just has the text, like Matthew said. So I started thinking, I know why they did that, because they don't want you to see it, because it's out there. And the more it's out there, the more people are going to look. So, I was going to get that book, but I got scared too after I heard a demon told her to write it.
No, you don't have to be scared of this, Gail. I think you know that. But if I said, do you know what an egregore is?
No.
Does that ring a golem? If I said, do you know what a golem is?
Has it got to do with demons?
Yeah, so demons, so again, it's light and dark. You have an evil side, you have a good side, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the fear factor that you're feeling, right? That's if you have sleep paralysis, and I tell you, that's a demon's got you around the throat.
Right.
Now you've got a fear. If I tell you scientifically, no, that's your brain releasing a chemical so that you don't act out your dream. And so it paralyzes you as a safety mechanism. Well, now your fear disappears. You're not calling out to Jehovah or to whatever you've been taught. See? So we dismantle the programming that's been, or the psychology that's been put in there. Like Joe says, why is there a suppression? Why is this information control? Well, it's going back to the film The Village, because we know humans are powerful with these innate abilities. You can affect the other side of the planet in like one or two moves. So we've got to suppress it so that you don't cut the planet into pieces. Okay? That's the idea. That's where the Seoli comes from. Now you say, was it a demon that spoke to her? Well, what about Joseph Smith? He says, I get an angel that comes in and he tells me about Jesus Christ in the United States of America, folks.
And now we've got plates and all that stuff, right?
Okay. And the same thing with Moses. Moses goes up on the mountain and he gets, the 10 Commandments. But Moses, who were you with? No, I went by myself. Okay, Moses, you went by yourself, and who can verify this? And when did you have another discussion with God? Oh, burning bush. Who verifies? Well, now we've got an entire religion that's based upon, again, another Joseph Smith character. Now, all of these things, like your automatic writing, you're going back to Theosophical Society of Blavatsky and that era, which was your late 1800s or your mid 1800s period. And then you've got 1879 when you had this re-emergence of Watchtower through Russell. So that was that whole era that all of these York Rite religions and things were coming out. And it looks like you had this big planetary reset again, where they were saying, oh no, we've got to just pull back so that we don't destroy the planet again, because we're running out of planets, folks. You know, we're running out of places to go. Yeah. Now I've probably lost the audience here.
No, I've got to ask it.
Linda's on. Hi, Linda.
Yeah, we want to welcome Linda in. But real quick question, and if you don't want to get into it, fine. Where does Sophia come into this whole equation?
Philosophy and theosophy. So Sophia is your feminine nature, essentially. You want to go back to, you see, in theosophy, the fall in Eden isn't out the narrative of, Eve gives Adam a fruit and that was disobedience. So in theosophy, the fall in Eden is a very different thing. That is you can say it's a transference. If you want to link it to Mars or an escape from Mars or the planet that was destroyed between Mars and Jupiter, the fall is the consciousness that was inhabited in previous forms, whether it was a flesh form or it was a non-corporeal form. The fall is the arrival to Earth or to this matrix. And they go and you forget, because the whole idea was to go into the village and have a restart. So whether it was like a big electronic erasure of memory to start us off, and now we've got an inherent time limit that we can stay alive, because if you live past 120 years or even 1,000 years, you're too smart and you present a danger to the planet again. We have to have you reset and forget. Right. You have to do it. That's the rules in order to inhabit the planet and to inhabit this village. And you'll get your chance over and over and over again. And I've heard you say, Joe, this idea in Eden where they say, or it's the serpent speaking to Eve and saying, oh, you won't die. God's fooled you here. He's the trickster. This Jehovah is a trickster. He's tricking you. And we go, oh, that's the devil. That's terrible. And we're saying, wait a second. What if it is this reversal? What if this little serpent was the little sperm and the egg? And, because I look at a sperm under a microscope and I see a serpent. is this genetic engineering going on? Is that what? Is that how we arrived on this planet? And they're tinkering with our genetics and things like this. And you're going, truth is stranger than fiction, folks. This is what's coming out more and more. And you go to your top tier psychologists and they're saying, yeah, but guess what? The society is not yet ready. They're regressing back towards what they think is comfortable for control, to kind of buy time.
For control. Yeah.
For control. That's the agreement. And that's what happened to me when they sent me on one of my first assignments. They sent me to a place called Chipinge. And that place, when you translate it, is control.
Wow.
It's where the spirits are, and you've got like Dante's Inferno, these gates of heaven, which are laid out in Stonehenge with the rocks. And you don't need to have visual sight. You can feel it. And the people tell you in the society where you're living, they're saying, oh, you can see what we see. And you're going, this is stuff of dream. No, you've affected me somehow with an influence in this insular society. And you're going, is it the water I'm drinking? Is it the food I'm eating? Is it the people giving off this resonance field? What is it? And they're saying, oh, but we all know this. This is part of our culture. This is the food we eat and all of this. And it's and your politicians are coming to the area and they say, well, what are you doing here? They say, no, we're being instructed by the spirits, the rulers of the world. And then you say, but hang on, that's in Africa. That's nothing to do with what's happening in the United States. Until, and I was discussing with Linda James this thing, you learn of the declassified Stargate, not the new one with Elon Musk, the old one in 1970s. It was called Grill Flame. And you realize that whole thing was the same kind of principles that created the automatic writing of Ciola. And Congress said, oh, we're going to pay out all of this money to have this program run. And your key figures were mainly, not all of them, but some of them were Scientologists. And Hubbard was where, in Rhodesia, in Zimbabwe, here in Africa, he was at that hotspot of Chipinge, which is your control center. And so persons like, I have to get the name, Lynn Buchanan, Pat Price, admitted in a different metaphorical construct in UFO terminology. They said, oh, this is a UFO center where you go to get this information exchange. And you're going, what are you guys talking about? But that's what your US Congress paid for. They paid for this. And Hubbard is coming out of Rhodesia, or gets kicked out of Rhodesia, because he was trying to develop this new psychology. And those were the places that he was at. And that's where they were putting all the special pioneers. I followed the old Gilead guys around in the same pattern and followed all the places of, L. Ron Hubbard and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm going around blissfully unaware. But that was the training. They're going, if you survive those areas, and by the way, we're sending you on these suicide missions. We don't know if you're going to come out, but if you do come out, you're going to come out with one hell of a training. Wow. And it was only when I connected with the top psychologists who were advising Congress and all of this that they said, oh, by the way, there's your link. Where were you? Oh, I was in Zimbabwe by the Mozambican border. They said, oh, yeah, UFO, that's part of the disclosure thing that's happening here. But in African terms, they'll put it into religious terms that they've understood for years, and they'll say, oh, no, this is where you've got your spirits and Nyabuya and Nyahanda and Kuguvi, and so they're putting it into the terms that they've grown up with in their culture. And you're realizing the imagery, when somebody says a UFO or an alien in African culture, that's an angel, or it's a demon, or it's a spirit. You're just realizing it's the same experience and the same symbology or the same archetype, but it's just expressed in different languages in different ways. Or if you come into Western religion or Christian religion, then it's an angel, or it's Ezekiel's chariot, or whatever, you know.
Matt, you've given us enough for quite a quiz next week.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, look, I'm going to put a disclosure for your. I do this with Linda James. I say, take it with thesis, for antithesis, for synthesis, and with essential critical thinking. This isn't a promotion of any belief system, and be healthily skeptical. Ask your questions, and I think that protects the channel.
Oh, no, I understand.
Honey,
Yeah.
Shauna said that we can go on a few minutes because we have such an interesting topic, and Apasta Babe hasn't come on yet.
Yeah, Linda.
And
Oh,
also,
wow.
Thank you, Matt.
We're at our last 4 minutes. Okay.
No, we're okay. We can take a little longer because Shauna's, there's no Discord movie tonight.
Yeah.
It's movie.
Oh, okay.
And also, while Matt was talking about women and angels, or angels and women, we got a text from Carrie Kay. And Carrie Kay said she wrote an article on it. And also, she says, I wish I could come on, but I need to go. And she said, I'm on the same wavelength as Matthew. So I said,
wow.
She can come on another time and talk about the article that she wrote and get her input. So anyway, we don't have to rush right out unless you.
No. Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
Linda.
Matthew.
Yeah. So Linda.
And thank you, Shauna. Hello.
Hi, Linda.
Gail and Joe and Fran and Anna and Matthew. Hello, everybody.
You've been on late, Linda. Where have you been?
I think I've just been listening to Matt going, you know, just taking it in and just making it kind of land somewhere, and some of it's landing okay, and some of it's not, and that's okay. No, and he's been showing up on my channel when I do my shows on Saturday nights at 9:00. So if you all want to get more of Matthew, show up for 9:00 on my channel.
I don't know, but I hope to take it.
No, but we do. We have lovely conversations kind of back and forth, and it's been flowing pretty nice.
I'm sure you do.
There's a question here. I lost it. It's by Thrifty Treasure. She says, wait, is Matthew saying JWs are sent to other countries as missionaries, but really are there to learn from other cultures and not convert them? Question mark. That's a great question. Were you saying that, Matthew? Or do you need me to repeat it?
Can you repeat it? So it's sent to other countries for the purpose of learning the culture.
Yes, without trying to convert them and not converting them. Yes, and not, there it is, yeah.
Okay, let me read it. Wait, is Matthew saying JW are sent to other countries as missionaries, but really are they? Okay, so already we've got a lot of answers for that, because it's not just one single answer. We realize it's a complex thing. So in part, yes. But remember what missionaries also do. They are to promote that particular religion and that particular agenda, and to pull the reins in as well. So they're under orders. If they want their house and they want their nice car and they want to be fed nicely, because now they're dependent on the organization, isn't it? They live in the missionary home. Otherwise, hey, get out. They must forward the charter. So it's not just about sending a person in and getting a training of that, you know, being like an ethnographer, hey? Where you learn about different peoples and things like that, although that is part of it. So I think there's many answers to that. In part, yes. Is it to also control other things? Yes. Is it to expand the religion? Yes. All of those things.
Okay, so I was thinking earlier about what Joe was talking about with Constantine and this whole everybody needs to be a Christian, but we had pagans there too, and Christians were trying to indoctrinate pagans to become Christians. I believe that's why we have holidays that have pagan roots. I believe that Christians took on the holidays as a form of recruiting and welcoming the pagans. Like, let's combine our cultures. And why we ended up hearing that, these certain holidays have pagan roots. I believe that was done by Christians on purpose to help them combined. That's what I believe happened. And Scientology, Leah Remini had a show about Scientology. It was pretty intriguing, and that went on for quite a while. And then we ambushed her. Everybody just on Twitter at the time was just ambushing her with, please have a show on Jehovah's Witnesses, and she did. And I've considered Scientology much like our cousins, as far as we might not have the same belief systems, but the same techniques and tactics that are used within Scientology for whatever their belief system is used on Jehovah's Witnesses as well. That's when I was first realizing that how those two go together well. Even Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, they're using the same techniques and tactics. And so she did have a show, and that was pretty amazing. That was, I believe, in 2018. And so one thing that people may not understand is that RFK Jr. within the White House, the lawyers that he was a part of, or still may be, I'm not quite sure, many or most of them are Scientologists. And if anybody knows anything about Scientology, they're very anti-medication and definitely anti-psych meds, okay? So, and I'm not saying they have influenced him, but I'm saying they may have, okay? So that's concerning to me, okay? That's very concerning to me. And so I just wanted to put that out there so people might keep it in mind, and if they can find a relationship to that, it's worth noticing if it comes up.
Well, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Because why is the psych meds a problem? So L. Ron Hubbard, when he was in Rhodesia, he was formulating this as a replacement psychology. I mean, he's looking at William James and going, oh, hang on, I can do this. I can absolutely do this because I understand the African mind here. He thought he was going to be president of Rhodesia, or that's what he was going to do. That's why he got booted out, because they're saying, you can't do this. And so legally, when they're going, oh no, as psychologists now, following William James' modern psychology, we reject this. The next thing that he did was he says, okay, so we're going to form this into a religion. That's my pathway. So when he couldn't make it into a science for modern psychology, let's reject that and let's form this as a religion. And the other thing too with the psych meds is, as soon as you start interfering with the mind, how are you going to have a raising of the chrism if now chemically you alter your mental components? You won't be able to fire between the pituitary and the pineal gland properly if you start doing that, because your cerebral spinal fluid, which flows into where your temple is, right here in the center, the suprachiasmatic system, or this little hole in your brain, okay, this place where your spark plug is, your pituitary and your pineal, which energizes that. What was you were saying, Sophia, earlier? This male female part, and you've got a piezo.
We're having a little bit of a spark or stall there.
Where you dream, right? Where you can imagine and you can create. So as soon as you're taking the psych meds, you interfere with that process. And it's the same with your habits. Eating pork,
interfere with what process? Can you interfere with what process?
If you want to energize your cerebrospinal fluid, which is part of the holy science.
Okay.
Joe was talking about Bonacci, right? He talks about this. But he was only educated by persons like Manly P. Hall and who was it? Another educator or a big influencer. Jordan Maxwell was a big influencer for him. But Manly P. Hall wasn't a Freemason. He was accepted into Freemasonry because of the knowledge that he had. But he didn't start off as a Freemason. Your modern custodian for Manly P. Hall is Ronnie Pontiac. He worked with he worked with Manly P. Hall in the philosophy, Sophia, philosophy society, Joe. So if you want a living example, Ronnie Pontiac, he's just lost his wife in July, who is Tamara Lucid. He's just lost her now.
What does Camera Lucid mean?
Those were their stage names, but she was like his light and he was the dark, and they came together and they made Solomon's Temple essentially. But he worked with Manly P. Hall, so he's a living example right now. He can tell you how Manly P. Hall's brain was working. This person that the Freemason says, "Oh, we accept you as a 33rd degree Grand Master." Among Jehovah's Witnesses, I was called Master. It was embarrassing, Linda. I kid you, there are persons right now in contact with me that call me Master. And I just go, I've been down this road, because as soon as you are unified with that knowledge, you're accepted into the body of Christ. You are now treated as an ambassador substituting for Christ. That's how that's how the proper recognized anointed class comes up. Not just somebody who says, "Oh, I've had a spiritual awakening because of consecration." No, there's a lot more involved there, which is why there's all of the questioning and all the testing that goes on amongst the top tiers. And you've got to make these documents, and they will question you, and they say, "Oh, well, that's what they did with the Apostle Paul. We are questioning you." And it is a form of Scientology with like an e-meter, but in another way, but with questioning and interrogation.
Wow.
It's the same principle. Yeah. And that's the theme tonight, is truth. Because
lies.
You can't,
and do we lie? Yeah.
Yeah. So you can stimulate. There's two places of consciousness in the brain physically that we can electrically stimulate, which can bring out experiences from birth, or when I was 4 years of age, or whether I had an emotional problem that now I've blocked some of my memory because there was a trauma, which is what Scientology endeavors to do, because they say, "Oh, we're a Thetan, we're the spiritual being, or this is-be, or the spiritual thing that comes and inhabits a container from Mars or wherever it is in the universe," right? That's the same as Jehovah's Witnesses' beliefs in the deep research part of Jehovah's Witnesses. If you're on the writing desk and they're telling you, "Oh, that Jehovah's throne is in the Pleiades system," that's where they're scared about it.
They used to say that's where Jehovah lived, right? Physically, like they used to say that's where he lived. That's where the organization said Jehovah used to live, that he was off on that area there, physically or whatever, spiritually.
That's it.
Like
and
there was
Norway
its
is a
location.
big thing, not just because of the legal stuff, because of the Nordics that live there, and your aurora borealis, because that's your connection to other planetary systems. So your aurora borealis is your electromagnetic field, which we all have, which from the solar plexus should connect us if we haven't been, hitting the booze or hitting the pork sausage. And if our sexual regulation is in line with your planetary systems, then you make your linkage to your Pleiades system. That's the belief.
How does that last one work? Sexual in line? What was that? I had not even heard that terminology. What did that mean?
Because you deplete your sacred water.
Interesting.
So when Israel is now dedicating themselves in, what is it, 1633, somewhere there, and they go to Moon Mountain, Sinai, sin, where we get sin from, because that's the moon belief, or the volcanic belief, or volcano god, or however you want to put it. So Sinai, you go there. What was the instruction to Israel? No sexual intercourse, folks. None of this. You had to be in a sacred state. And what that was is, it's your alchemical state, your scientific biology, that they're telling you this is what all the rules are for. And so Moses comes down with the rules, and you've got your whole Levitical rules and your sanctification process. Well, that's the same thing that happens in Scientology. It's the same thing that happens if you're a Tibetan monk or whatever. It's the same principles in Shintoism, is all to make sure that this alchemical system, which is an ancient technology, if you read this, what is this thing, Interview with an Extraterrestrial, right? That's a big go-to book for the New Age movement. And it gives you keys into how the Scientology works and all the various religions and everything works. The whole idea is to get your telepathic communication working back with, your masters, whether they're archons or whether they're Palladians or whatever.
Okay, well, I'm on psych meds, so that must be interrupting that for me then. And I'm thankful to be on psych meds, because I used to be very, very like panic attacks, rolling panic attacks, could not even get out of bed kind of panic attacks, and suffered with great anxiety and depression. And it has made my life to where I can function, and I didn't start taking psych meds until I was 30. That's how scared I was to even start, but I did.
And I offer you a comfort.
And
I'm on low-dose naltrexone right now in order to be on this program. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to talk.
Yeah, so sometimes, and what I learned was, and is that like a serotonin inducer or a balancer of your serotonin?
It is a opioid antagonist. That's what it is. So it makes me feel less in order for me not to not be blinded by pain. Otherwise, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to talk.
Okay, my doctor has told me that I need to. I'm at the stage of taking opioids, but I'm trying not to. So I'm getting the pain relieving patch. So I'm using a patch. So okay, I hear what you're saying.
So remember, Linda James, for me disclosing this information is not to poo-poo psych meds. Remember, Watchtower writers.
I didn't think so.
In my experience, and somebody who cannot prove it, well, it becomes difficult because you have to mention names, and mentioning names becomes a problem. But in my experience, you've got persons that have got Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, panic attacks, anxiety disorders, and these are the Watchtower writers that were producing recent Watchtowers. And Granny downstairs says, when I prepare the Watchtower, my mind's foggy. Yeah, Granny. Yeah. That's exactly what. Okay.
Matthew, if I can jump in a second, considering the in-depth, not only knowledge, but the circumstance that we live in, that you've described a little bit of, what is the role and the purpose of the rank and file Jehovah's Witness in the organization that doesn't have a clue about what you're talking about?
Can I just add something to what I was saying, just really quick before Matthew answers that? Is that okay, Matt? I just wanted to say that when somebody takes psych meds, in my case, it's an antidepressant, and what that does is it balances the serotonin level in my brain. So when someone takes medication for diabetes, the pill isn't sugar. It's a pill that balances the sugar level in their body. So it works along that same line. So it helps my neurons actually connect to the next neuron. which helps me think well and helps me have a sense of well-being. That's how antidepressants work. And it's fascinating that there are many groups that usually a cult will be very, very against any psych meds because they want you to be totally dependent upon them. Okay? And I find that fascinating that, you know, I was so scared I wouldn't take them until I was in my 30s, and I had to read up all on it because I was terrified to be, quote unquote, addicted to drugs. You know, I had never, you know, I was scared, but it turned out to be very, very helpful for me, and I am med compliant. Anytime the Watchtower brings up depression, they're talking about circumstantial depression, meaning things that are happening outside of ourselves that would cause depression, as opposed to a chemical imbalance. And of course, the whole thing is, yes, read more Watchtowers, read your Bible, and go out and service more. That's their answer. But that's what I wanted to add so that I could, that's all I wanted to add. But yeah, go ahead, Matt.
So Joe, I'm just gonna free speak here with Linda. My motive is to bring in some comfort and some hope here. There is somebody who went to the Las Vegas. That's part of the circle, or 6 screen circle. Is it Jerome in Hawaii?
Yes, Jerome is the one who organized it.
Right. Now, I got all excited about something because he was talking about alcohol and the alcoholism society amongst JW, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So he's going, this isn't great. It's about a vacuum. And I went, yep, you're right. My motive for sending comments on his channel was to support him. And what did I do? I inadvertently triggered the JW AI. Okay, I know that. I saw it. I recognized it immediately.
Wow.
So there's a firm that JW has hired so that no elder says, "Oh yes, we're the ones that are chasing ExJW community or apostates or whatever." So there's no. We don't do that. Yeah, but you hired a firm like a security firm to protect your property. So that's a third party. Okay. So they use AI, which is why you get Rick saying, oh, there's drunken Bethelites. No, they're not necessarily drunken Bethelites. They're the security firm, and they're given information about JWs. So I said to Jerome, I said, by the way, on the convention, about a year or recent convention, I said, you had a Watchtower writer talking about his brain problem. And the AI locked onto that and said, who is that? Because it's a sock puppet. It wants to catch me out so that I mention a name. And it goes, screenshot, now you're a leak, we're going to nail you. That's what the program does, okay? So I realized, ooh, crumbs, I recognized this. And I think Tim with Jerome recognized it as well. And they said, oh, Matt, thank you very much for your comment. You're spot on. Oh, I was like, oh, great. But it alerted me again that this program is running throughout the entire internet, scanning all of these conversations and things, and it's going to this third-party security firm, right? Because it's, like Joe says, it's to shut down the yap and the interchange of communication and what we're doing here in analyzing how this whole thing works. So I'm going to say this because he said it publicly, Linda James, and it was Dave Caracas in the 2023 convention, and he was talking about his mental condition, and he said, I'm not as obedient as I was, or my body is not as obedient as it was when it was younger. So you can see that he's very much caught up in the narrative. Okay, he's going, oh, I can't get to meetings anymore. I've got to go on Zoom. That makes me not as obedient as I was before. All right, but that's all out in the open. It's on the convention. That's not a apostate information that's coming out. And that's his sickness. That's his malady. Now, if you want to say that that's from drinking, I don't know, but that's what's happened. Is it from burnout because of being under these terrible pressures? Well, we see patterns, and we might say, yeah, I'm more inclined to believe it, but we can't be categorical about it. We can only say that there's patterns. Now, Linda James, why am I mentioning all of this? The reason why I'm mentioning this is I am going to speak from my own observation. It's only my only opinion. Others in the community can speak about what they've.
I go with my opinion. That's what I do. Yeah.
So it's only my opinion, and I can be wrong. But Linda James, you are an incredibly intuitive person. So you are on these psych meds. What would happen if you weren't? But what I'm trying to say is your intuition is firing very, very well. Incredibly well.
I appreciate that.
And we could put you, I can think of a test that I could put you on, and you might be quite uncomfortable about it, but I know that we could put you on a test, and it would be for you to prove to yourself about your own intuition, not for me to say, oh, I'm right. This would be only for you to kind of build up your own confidence. The same way you've said to me, Matt, you're free of this stuff, this nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah, you also need to be free of all of these things where they're saying, oh, you're deficient, or it's the food that you eat, or you're caught in this loop where you can't get out of it, and all of this kind of stuff, or I've got a genetic problem, or I'm caught up with trauma. And the best thing I can do to carry on is get onto these meds, which I hate. I wish I wasn't on them. Okay? But because we see that your intuition is firing, what is it saying about just, I'm going to say, spiritual function? It's there. You can't knock it out. It's working. That's what they want to suppress, but it's actually working. And so we would be able to put you on one of these things like the Stargate program, and we'd say, Linda James, if you follow this protocol, the same protocol the US Army had to follow to use the intuitive side, the what is it, the primal gaze detection, if you don't believe in it, because we know that, hey, that works.
I'm not familiar with that, but I do hear what you're saying, and I do use my intuition.
I don't know if they've knocked me out. Am I still on?
Yes, you're on. Yes,
you're on, man.
Yeah, I do use my intuition, and I appreciate your confirmation because it makes me trust my intuition more. And when we're involved in high demand, high control groups, they want us to squander our intuition and not listen to it, and to rely on them for our decision-making skills. And one of the first ones is that the organization will say to us is, what seems wise to a man leads to what, like death or destruction. So we're not supposed to trust ourselves. And so over time, it's helped, a confirmation statement like what you've said has supported my intuition. And to be honest, I have never, ever, ever heard anyone ever say, I've regretted listening to my intuition or I've regretted listening to my gut instinct, ever. I've never heard this story. I've heard people say, my gut instinct told me this and I ignored it, and then I got these negative consequences. But I don't think what you're saying is that you're anti-psych meds or anything. I think that you're saying that you were talking about this, that when somebody does take psych meds, it's kind of a block for this spiritual portion of what you're talking about. And I don't have an opinion on that spiritual portion, or I don't have any thoughts on whether it's real or not. I just don't.
So Linda James, in your experience, how many persons have you helped with your channel to get out of, I felt like I was going to kill myself today? How many people since you've been part of this network, or Six Screens, or this extended network, how many people have you helped? And I'm going to finish this off with Vernon's words, that love is the most important. And I'll tell you this about that psychology group, or these parapsychologists. They're saying the most important, most powerful psi that we have is love. But you got to have
Absolutely.
it with truth.
Absolutely.
The two go together.
I believe love is always louder than the hate, than deception, than any of it. I can remember being a small child and watching my mother at the door when we went out in service and listening to a kind man speak to my mother. He kept just being so kind to her. He was a Christian man, and everything he presented to my mother was incredibly kind. And I remember thinking to myself, I must have been between like 4 and 7, thinking, this doesn't match up with what I've taught worldly people are. You know, I could see this as a child, you know, and as far as helping people, this, when you get on and do things like this, you don't get to know the feedback, but it's a ripple, and it does affect people. So I try to be very very direct when I say these are my opinions. This is from you know, a study. This is what, you know, Robert J. Lipton said, or this is what another person said. So I try to define the difference, because I want people to only receive what I've said if it resonates with them. If it doesn't, you know, set it aside. It's not like I expect you to just take it in because that's what I think. I just want to create a very casual atmosphere on Saturday nights for us to just get together and hang out and have a conversation, you know. But how many people that I've helped, I don't know. But people were there for me when I was at the beginning of my how the hell did this happen to me and what happened to me stage of leaving the organization. And they were very kind to me, even if their personalities were very different. They just were being a friend. And that's just my intention of just simply being a friend. And those that I don't agree with, like me and Jimmy actually had a moment. Me and Jimmy Bell had a moment like a week or so ago, and we were both just as shocked as could be because we think very differently, but you know, we're pretty cordial to each other. And we had a moment of agreement, matter of fact, about Charlie, and we were both just shocked as could be. But and it was fascinating, you know. But we don't have to all think alike. That's our freedom leaving the organization, you know. And I can tell you, taken your journeys, you've gone down your spiritual fascinations and stuff. And what I mainly hear from you, Matthew, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that you don't think that there's only one way for us to receive or to get to God, or God reaches us. I don't think that you think there's only one way. For instance, Joseph Rutherford told us you got to pick the right religion and make sure it's the one God's using. I don't think that's your mindset, because you've think about all these other routes, right? That,
well, is he telling
God
the
might
truth
actually it's the pseudo Judge Rutherford. I don't think so.
So he knows that he's got to say something that you can't refute. So
yes.
So he's saying that there is one way, but is he implying it his way? He didn't say that.
Absolutely.
He didn't say that. So okay, so it's clever wording, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
God's always used our organization. He used Moses. He used us, and it's us because we're so bitching, because we're so good.
I saw Debbie Moore kept asking. She was saying, "What is the test that we're going to give Linda James? What's the test?" Okay, here it is. I'll try and make it simple. Linda James, if you hadn't been there on your channel, were you going to be able to help Matt Gray? No. Did Matt Gray need help? Yes. Was he's under tremendous trauma? Yeah, he's got trauma. He's suffering from hypoxia. He's suffering from all sorts of things and going crazy. Wasn't even able to talk. I think we were talking for 4 hours. Linda James, I couldn't even talk past 10 minutes. That's how jammed up I was. Yeah. So now, why did you give up your 4 hours? Why do you do that week after week? I'll give you an answer. Love. It's a principled love. It's an agape love. That is the proper thing that's motivated you to do that. That is the most powerful thing in the entire universe that we could ever have. So are you functioning with these meds? Yes.
Yes.
There's the test. You passed. Don't stamp.
There it is. So, okay.
I passed. Maybe Debbie Moore was hoping for more of a profound test. Look, there's all sorts of other things that can be done. I think of Thomas International and their psychometric test. But I mean, there's a simple one. I don't know if that satisfies you, but you can see that. We can testify. I feel pretty safe saying that for everybody. But
and the videos you've done on
trouble.
The videos that you've done on your channel of just kind of starting with a thought and flowing with it, you've actually been working things out. You're having a thought, you're finishing it, and you're flowing with it. And you're doing your connecting of the dots yourself as well. So that's very healthy. And whenever you get in the mood to do that, just turn it on, turn on your mic and do it.
What I find amazing is this is Matthew's early morning. Like we normally go to bed, normal time, but Matthew has been up with us. I think what you said, you started, it was 1 a.m.
Oh, wow.
What time is it now, Matthew?
It's now 4:31, but it's like we said to Joe earlier. So actually convinced this is some of the most important things we're doing. Linda James, you're doing important work. Gail, you're doing important work. Joe Fran, you're doing important work. Every participant here in the comments, Debbie Moore, Dallas, Born JW, John, I see Thrifty Treasure, I see all of these various ones. You're doing an incredibly important work. This is frontline stuff that's going on here, decoding all of this stuff. And we have to get it right. Otherwise, we're going to cut the planet into pieces. We have to get this right. It's very, very important. So I look at this. I come away. I'm talking again, Linda James, because
beautiful.
I'm encouraged.
Well, isn't this what it's all about? Is interchanging ideas and information and education. Now, I was in the field for quite a long time, and my slogan always has been "Thank God for drugs," because I know there's just a certain part of the population that really needs to be medicated. But myself, I always had to be in control, even as a young kid. I was in the 60s. There was a lot of LSD going on and all kinds of drugs, and I was like the nurse in the group. And I was the one that made sure nobody was overdosing and nobody got too stoned in the group. And I always wanted to be in control of myself. And I'm that way today because it's a survival mechanism for me. That's probably why I get into the field. And I'm not bragging, but I saved 5 people's lives in my lifetime because of my intuition as not only as a mother, but as a compassionate human being. And I'm also I'm very, it's a gift that was given to me, and I have deep feelings for people. And I was able to save, those 5 people's lives because of my intuition and my gut feeling. Because I feel, we're creatures of habit, and 2 of the clients that I saved, they weren't doing their routine, so I knew something was up. Well, anyway, I've been through an awful lot in my life. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I have a daughter who's in prison right now. I've lost a lot of people in my life, and I've learned to grieve quickly as a result. But what I've done with myself, instead of, I drank for a little while, and I knew that wasn't helping me at all. It was just compounding the problem. So I do a lot of homeopathic therapy. I take a lot of supplements. I'm a firm believer in red light therapy, which helps tremendously. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, feel free to, because I've helped a lot of people out in my lifetime using other alternatives rather than medication. And I believe in massage therapy. I believe in meditation. And I also believe in the power of prayer. And most importantly, I keep myself active, and I keep my mind busy. I'm constantly watching and learning because I'm so afraid of Alzheimer's, because my last job was working with Alzheimer's and dementia clients. And I'd rather lose an arm and a leg than lose my mind and my thinking abilities. So that's just how I feel about life in general. And I love life. I'm not afraid. And I'm a critical thinker. I refuse the vaccination, and I'm not going to get the digital ID card if it gets pushed on us. So that's my stance with life in general.
So, Gail, what you're saying to me is fascinating, because here in Africa, your red light is getting up in the morning and putting your arms out and embracing the sunshine.
Beautiful.
That's your red light, because that's your infrared in the morning. And in the evening, when the sun goes down, just about an hour before, it's the same. You get that same red light therapy. And you take a look at the elderly people. What happens when they've got some kind of sickness? They get on their bum and they sit in the dirt in the sun at those time periods, because that's your red light therapy. That's exactly what it is. But here's something else for Linda James, because now you're on a drug. But Linda James, if you were living in Malawi, which was heavily persecuted, because 1960 was this changeover from Britain to, indigenous government, apparently, but it didn't have economic freedom, and it was under Freemason control, which is how they got the flag. Okay,
I'll tell you right now, I would have lied and bought the card. Okay, that's what I would have done.
and you would have eaten the food. Now in Malawi, if you were eating, so a lettuce. Okay, let's take a lettuce on a hamburger at McDonald's. Okay, what's a Big Mac? So the lettuce they shove on a Big Mac ain't the lettuce that was originally bred, because the original lettuce was called Lactica virosa, or opium lettuce. So your Egyptians, your Roman sources, they talk about that. It was calming. I think I'm supposed to put somebody onto the stage here. Hold on.
Do we know Wesley? Hello, Wesley. How are you?
Hello, Wesley.
Hi, Wesley.
Everybody on Earth knows me. Hi.
I don't know you. Hi.
Hi, Wesley.
Greetings.
Hello. Your first time.
Hello, Wesley.
Hello.
Hi. This is not a Big Mac.
So, Linda James, if you were eating the foods in Malawi, you might not have to have those meds, because your lettuce, which was your original lettuce, would have provided you with the things that you needed. But our diets are so poor now, with GMO foods and all sorts. I mean, we got GMO corn here in Africa. What's that there for?
Wow,
are you guys crazy? So in Chipinge again, they're telling me, oh man, you're going to eat the foods here. You're going to eat Bambayira, Mapudzi, Madumbi, all of these roots and all of these kind of things. And I'm eating this thing and I'm having these, if you want to say, mystical experiences. But they're going, what are you reporting? It happens to all of us. Well, you think you're special? You're not special. That's what's supposed to happen. And then you've got your sand people in Namibia, and they're running around. And you say, but they're running around butt naked in the bush and in the savannah and all this, and going, yeah, that's your advanced human there. That's your advanced human. Eating these things.
Matthew, can we welcome Wesley and see if he'd like to say something?
Hi, Wesley.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Welcome.
Thanks.
Are you familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses or any of the previous Jehovah's Witnesses?
I have nothing good to say about them, so I won't say anything.
Oh, no, tell us.
It's okay.
Did you have anything you'd like to add to the show tonight?
I saw a dream from Jesus, and it turns out I'm not a good guy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm an evil and wicked man. So evil have I been in my past that even after I was baptized, dunked in the water as a young man at 20, and when I was about 40 or 44 years old, Jesus showed me my soul, and it was dead ashes from head to toe, and the Holy Ghost was a pearl of great wealth in my belly. I mean, the ashes were dead gray color. You know, I was saying, I believe Jesus is God. I'm washed in his blood. Nope. I was all lip service. So what it is that I like being forgiven by Jesus, but when I don't forgive someone else of anything they do against me, then I don't believe in Jesus's forgiveness.
Well, Wesley, thank you for offering this, but I really don't think this
yeah,
is.
so
I really
that's
don't.
where you interrupt. That's
No,
the meaning of the foot not bleeding that is cut off.
I understand. I understand. But I really don't think this is the format for this discussion.
Oh boy.
Has he disappeared?
We're still here.
Okay, yeah, we're here.
That was interesting.
That was very interesting.
Matt, I just had a question. You said that when you were on Jerome's podcast, and you could tell that there was a third party. Have you ever noticed it on our program?
No, I will have a look, but I haven't been looking for it.
How would we be able to tell?
Say, friend. So the program is designed to gaslight. Mm-hmm. So it'll say something like, so you'll make a statement, Fran, and it'll go, oh, I don't think that's true.
Oh, okay.
It'll be argumentative. And then it'll go into something, you know what you need, Fran? You need to confess to Jehovah, and he's going to make it all better. And the reason why things aren't going well for you is because you haven't returned to Jehovah. So and it'll sound like it's the congregation, but it isn't. It's an artificial program. And the way that you definitely know that, well, I'm kind of exposing how you can see it now. So it might adapt. I don't know if I want to tell you.
You're right. Okay, that's okay. That's okay.
Because it adapts.
Okay.
And I've caught it adapting. But yeah. I want to share this with you, but some things are nice because you can still peel away the nonsense. It's still at a stage that's obvious. It's getting better, though. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months because it's getting more and more sophisticated. It's learning from us. Sorry about that, folks, but that's the world we live in. So what's happened is JW, what it's done is it's hired firms. Like you hire a security firm to protect your property. So they're not Jehovah's Witnesses. So when Rick talks about drunken Bethelites, I'm happy to be proved wrong, but the chances are they're not actually Bethelites. Although you do have those characters, but it's more likely that it's a hired third party that comes in. And they'll be taught a basic way of how Jehovah's Witnesses think. So they look like they've got some kind of ideas about how Jehovah's Witnesses work, but they're not. They'll use different names and things that a Jehovah's Witness would never use, for instance. It's just a countermeasure. It's just hired. And how can we hire it? Because apparently, according to the Stay Alive 2025 convention, we have something like 15 billion of assets being controlled in Ireland.
Wow.
So any kind of, Ellen DeGeneres? How much is she worth? Something like 500 million to $1 billion US. Look at all of the facilities she's able to buy, even though her name is supposedly mud. and apparently she's coming out and saying she's the victim now. It's amazing what money can do. If you've got a business that's running, it protects itself in all kinds of ways. It's incredibly resilient, and that's what we're seeing in the organization. And that's why, Fran and Joe, I've heard you say some Jehovah's Witnesses that are in your top tier are actually trapped. They're hoping that they can release information and that we'll take them to court just so that they can be freed up, because they're sitting on their chairs, spinning around in their office going, I'm going crazy here. And they are on psych meds, Linda James, because they know they're trapped. And any little opportunity where they can sort of like sneak out a bit of information, it's almost like, oh, did that get out? Oh, I made a mistake somehow. That was an accident. But it's a way that they're going, we want you to break through this thing. Please, may you break through this thing, because we're all trapped. We're trapped by the lawyers. We're trapped by our shareholders. We're trapped by the external elements and all of these contracts, and by fiduciaries, and we're trapped by trust funds, and we trust and we all of these agreements that have accumulated over 140 years, because we didn't think we were going to get this far. This new order was supposed to come in and pull us out of this, and we're stuck. Yes. And we're saying to the young people, 18-year-olds, hey, do you want a real important assignment from Jehovah? Do you want one? Well, guess what? The Holy Spirit's on you, pal. Isn't that great? And he gets down on his knees and he says, Jehovah, thank you. I'm the new Samuel. I've been chosen. And guess what? He inherits all the fiduciary nightmare that our poor chap, who's now 100 years of age and unfortunately incontinent, can't deal with.
I personally think that this organization, the religious portion, is a front, is a beard that hides what's really going on within the whole, empire, whatever is all involved in that. They have to have the organization, and abusing us is what keeps us there. Okay. In other words, the perpetrator needs their victim much more than their victim is convinced that they need their perpetrator. The perpetrator could be nothing without their victims. That's my theory.
Well said, Linda.
Thank you.
So that's your intuition.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
On your psych meds, and you're coming to that conclusion.
I'm telling you, it helps my serotonin level be balanced, and it makes me think.
User scored 100%.
You also think that as well? You see that as well?
Oh, well, let's look in the comments. What are they saying?
And when you just said a few minutes ago, some of the people higher up on what I would call the echelons, they're hoping to be set free. They thought they were like they were like
John Marciano says Israel.
What did he say? Israel is also hiding behind a beard. Okay, so the beard is a term that's used as a it means a cover. You're covering up for something. And within the LGBTQ community, if a homosexual man doesn't want to have everybody else know this, they'll be dating a woman, and she would be considered his beard. Yeah.
I never heard that. Wow.
Yeah.
Never heard that.
Isn't that interesting?
Very. Wow.
John, no offense, absolutely not. That one also gets 100%.
But I do think that those people that are higher up in the echelons have also realized that they've taken part in criminal activities that they didn't know were criminal activities at the time, then informed later, and it's psychologically, mentally, they're more trapped mentally than they are physically, but they are believing what whoever told them. Your example, one of these people, there's someone I know that's an ex-Jehovah's Witness in Australia, his dad used to beat the crap out of all of them.
Oh,
And
geez.
he went and stayed with his brother, the one that was getting, they all did, but this younger brother of his finally hit his father back. And he was, a loyal Jehovah's Witness. And when an elder showed up, he said, we can't take our brothers to court, but if we're not in the organization anymore, we can take them to court. And so the elder was telling him that he would be backing up his father for taking him to court because he fought back and hit his father. So manipulation like that can happen when you don't know that you already had rights to take your father to court years ago. You were already trained to take the abuse.
May we wrap up shortly?
Yeah. Well, Joe and Fran, this is your show, and you've allowed free reign. So thank you very, very much. Deep gratitude and deep appreciation to you and the community. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate everyone here.
Yeah,
too.
thank you for all coming on and staying up. And,
Thank you, Shauna, too.
yes, thank you, Shauna, and all the moderators. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Gail. Linda.
Good night.
And Annie.
Matthew, thank you for all your insight. That was fascinating.
We also had some good fun and some good moments, hey?
Yes.
Yep. I think so.
I'd like to learn more about the Masons, though, from you. Whenever you can.
Matthew does have a channel. I think I did put the link in the chat at one point.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, and look at that. I still have it there. So there you go again, Gail. Thank you, everybody, for watching with us this week. Thank you, Joe and Fran, for working overtime today.
Matthew.
And thank you, Shauna.
My pleasure. Yeah, thank you, Matthew and Linda, for helping out backstage too. And like Fran already mentioned, thank you to the moderators. So, look, Vern just checked in right now. He's in the other room waiting.
Living your life with love. I love it. I've already got one of those coffee cups. They're so cool.
I didn't get coffee cups.
Yeah, they sell. Yeah, they have merch. Yeah, check it out.
How do I get it?
It's on our YouTube channel, yeah. So the mugs are actually really good because they keep your stuff hot all day. So anyways, you guys have a great night. We'll see you all next week.
Shauna, let Vern know that we've decided we all will continue to live our lives with love.
Yes.
Yes.
I will do that. Have a good night, guys. Love you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Geez. And Ruby asked me to tell everybody Discord movies now Friday nights. So please join us on the server. We hope to see you there. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Shauna.
Hello.